I don't care if I'm a Technocop. Like, I don't know. There's just something weird about I'm just driving and I'm just going and I'm exploding the criminals every time they come to say.
This is the Imperial Schools of Honor podcast. I am Josh Folan.
And I am Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. We are trading high-C juice boxes for squeezes in the lunchroom as we take in a copy of Sega Visions issue 2 that Billy borrowed from the library this morning. Link to the issue is in the show notes. As always, please rate and review the podcast. We have a new review I would like to read. It is on Apple Podcasts from Gorilla Acropolis.
Okay.
I knew I was going to fuck that up the first time. The title is Two Dudes with a Lot of Tude. One of the best retro video game podcasts out there. Josh and Jay blend, have great chemistry, and an excellent sense of humor. Perfect for elder millennials like me who grew up in the 80s and 90s and anyone with an interest in gaming. So, if you post it, we'll read it here just like that. Give us validation and self-worth, or ridicule us as long as it's also funny.
Thank you.
What are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? It looks like fucking chaos behind you, man.
Dude,
what is that?
Hi-Fi Rush, man. Come on. Have you not got swept up in the hype yet? You've not heard? You're not in the tree, the trust? You're not in it?
It's not innocuous. It's not innocuous. I wouldn't know.
Oh, Josh. Okay, let me educate you. So, recently, a couple weeks ago, at any rate, a couple weeks ago, very recently, Microsoft held like a developer direct where, they had just a showcase of like a few of our developers who were just putting out some games. And one of them was Hi-Fi Rush. And most of them were just like, hey, we're having this game. It's coming out, showing you the trailer, like some cinematics talking about it, letting you know when it's going to drop, including this game. But then it was like, hey, this game is available in a couple hours on Game Pass. So I was like, oh, okay. And it looked really cool. And people like were pretty interested in it.
What's the developer?
It's Bethesda Softworks, dude. And, it's so good. It's a rhythm combat game, and it is just phenomenal. It is like one of the top games on Game Pass right now. It blew up, and I'm not just hyping it up to hype it up. Like, I played it, and I continue to play it. It's so good. It's kind of hard to explain without seeing it, but it's a combat game, like you're fighting, but it's based on rhythm as well, and it's done in such a really well done way. The art is really interesting and unique. You can kind of see it behind me. I definitely encourage you to go check it out. But it's just like, it's the animation's really well done. The story's really well done. The characters are funny. They have personality. Like all the thing, it's fun. Like, it's a fun game to play. Like, all the elements you want in a game are just there.
The robots remind me of something and I cannot put my fucking finger on what it is. It's like I don't know, some kind
like
of...
a Japanese anime, like enemy kind of robot?
No, I mean, I don't watch anime, so that can't be it.
Okay.
It's like a movie or something. I can't think of what the fuck it is. But anyhow.
Dude, you have to check it out. You have, like, I heard people kind of talk about it because the direct happened when I was like driving and like on a call or something. So I kind of missed this part of it. I just kind of heard the hype and said, okay, I'll have to check it out. And yeah, it's really good. It's one of those games, like, the kids can be completely doing their own thing in the other room, but they hear me playing it and they like rush and come in and like have to sit down and watch. Like, it's that type of game. So I can't say enough about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the story, even talk about it any further. Just check it out. Go check it out. Second game I've been playing, Age of Empires 2. Man, it is on console now.
Are they only on 2? There hasn't been another one since...
there is. There's
Empires
3 and 4. Yeah. 3 and 4 dropped as well on PC as well. But yeah, 2 is now on console on the Xbox. And they have a lot of shortcuts and things you can do now that you couldn't do on the PC back in the day, and it's just it makes it a smoother, better experience. It's so good that in my Elder Scrolls Online like Discord chat, everybody's talking about Age of Empires 2 and like how everybody's been like staying up late playing it with their spouses way too long, and it is like
what that shows, Jay, I think. What? That only old people play Elder Scrolls.
So Hey, I got no comebacks to that. But it's a solid game, is all I'm saying. Like, it's funny when that kind of game starts taking over other areas of chats that are usually specific to another kind of game, you know. And then
I'd be surprised. Well, I don't know, who knows what Jab's doing with Xbox these days. I think he said his broke, and I'm sure he hasn't gotten a new one. So, but he was all over that years ago. I think we talked about that before.
It's worth it. Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait for the other ones. Like, they have to be working on the next ones to come out on console too. So, cannot wait for that.
Well, I thought it already did, didn't it? Or no, that was only the new one.
No, this is the first one. Yeah, the new one only came out on PC.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was okay. Word. I'm surprised games even bother to do that. I mean, I guess Civ does that, so that shouldn't be surprising. But I mean, it's eventually worked on to most of the. I know it's on fucking Switch, I believe, but it took a while, I guess. But I'm surprised that like a major AAA game would even think about not having that. Having a new game hit all the platforms at once, you know, it just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, you have to think that kind of thing is kind of being phased out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know though, but there's so many games that come to PC first though, just because I think of the ease of doing it. You know what I mean? You can't just, if you want to make a game and you're an indie developer, you have the tools. You can just go do it and, you know, put it out on Steam without having to, you know, negotiate with big, you know, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo.
Sure.
Kind of get their seal of quality, you know, kind of all that kind of stuff. No. And I don't really know what that's like, so I just know it's easier. You can just drop stuff on Steam.
Yeah. It probably has nothing to do with technology. But I'm talking again. I'm saying AAA developers too, though. Like, that obviously takes anything like that out of it. It's just a matter. I'm sure there's a technological ease, and those games, you know, I mean, it makes sense to me from a practical. Like, I wouldn't want to play Civ on a console under any circumstance. Just not going to do it because it's a mouse.
That's only some of the exactly.
You know, so it doesn't bother me at all that they don't do it. I'm just surprised that they don't.
But I think that's why this is so impressive to me. Like, Age being on a console now because of the way.
Yes, the real time. You know, I haven't played. Like I mentioned in the chat last night, like real-time strategy equals stress to me. I'm not something I'm seeking out.
Loved it.
But I used to, you know, there was a phase in my life. I mean, Warcraft 2, I fucking loved those. And the thing about those, the most stressful part of those games is highlighting a group of fucking soldiers and getting them to do what you want and the amount of time you want them to do it. I can't imagine having to. I don't know I'm sure they have a workaround.
Dude, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that specific scenario is so much smoother on the console now. Yeah, like the shortcuts on the console, it makes like the quality of life improvements. That's like those type of things specifically are like, oh my gosh, like my wife just sitting there making those comments like, this is so much easier because of course it wants you to go through a quick tutorial like here's how to play this on the console, and once you get it, it's like, oh yes, like it's so much smoother of an experience to get groups to do things.
Does it dumbify it or does it make it easier? Does it just do it for you?
No, it makes it easier. You can it's so much smoother and quicker, like with your buttons to like get groups to do things, and like it's I don't want to get too technical, but it's better. Trust me. If you ever had those specific issues with like a Civ, like, and you were at all a fan of Age of Empires, go play it.
Well, Civ's turn-based, so it's not a problem on there. But yeah, Warcraft and Warcraft 2. Like, and I mean, remember it so vividly. The most you could highlight at one time, because those games are so fucking old, was 9 dudes at once. So you're like, if you really want to, if you have an army ready to roll and you really want to go dump on someone, it was like a fucking scramble to get them to like. I think you could highlight more, but I maybe it was the first one that was only 9 at a time. But it was such a thing to like really coordinate large groups of soldiers and have them do exactly what you wanted.
Oh man,
in concert together, you know, it was such a fucking difficult thing.
Oh man, this one you can hold down a button and just like select a wide area of people who might be like right together. You can like just double tap the one soldier and just get all of just that type. You can like press I think left stick or something and just highlight all of your military. You know what I mean? There's more like multiple different options of like different layers and groups you can kind of highlight and just like go attack or go to this area type of thing. And it allows for so much variability, and probably going to play some after we finish recording again.
Word.
I know I think Zion and Court are actually playing some right now.
That's crazy that they make games like that accessible to
and it's
kids,
fantastic.
Kids these days.
So, just that and lots of ESO. Lots of testing out new builds to help buff group content for in-game raids. So that's kind of fun, just continuing to just optimize and kind of say, like, what is that, secondary buff set that if we had that in our raid team, that would kind of just push damage just over the top so we could do like an in-game trifecta. So that's been fun as well. What about you, brother? What you been playing, sir? What is this God game behind you? Like?
Yes, I'll get to that. Before I even talk about games, though, I want to quickly do a tangent on something I normally don't talk about on here. But Last of Us on HBO, are you watching it yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so bro, like how much of a twat I am about, especially licensed IP being converted.
Yeah, like what are you even talking about? Like, why is this even
so I mean, when I first heard about it, it's funny. So, I first of all, I love the game. I played the first game on PS3, I think it was, all the way through. It's amazing story in video game form. Absolutely loved it. I bought the remaster on PS4. I never really got into it. There was something, I can't remember what it was. There was something wonky about it that I couldn't fucking get into playing the game. So I never really got anywhere, even after buying the remaster. But I mean, I bought a remaster, which I don't normally do. So especially just one generation later is especially crazy behavior, I think, for me, buying a remaster. But in any event, love the game. But I was completely uninterested in this up front. Like, my expectation was, yes, it was just more licensed schlock bullshit from Hollywood, gurgitating out because they can't even begin to come up with something that's good, original idea, and, the system has zero balls when it comes to supporting not yet heralded filmmakers with good ideas who are outside of it. So that's, that's my stance on that, and I, in turn, was not interested in watching this, thinking it was just that. And I also thought, for some reason or another, that it was a Netflix show. And Netflix, sadly, is now the whitewash network that takes zero chances, and 99% of it is just, everything coming out on it is dog shit. So a new Netflix show, like, fucking die in a ditch, I'm not interested. So, especially that's licensed. So I was just like, no fucking way. Had I known it was HBO, I probably would have been a little less averse to it. Their quality output is the polar opposite of Netflix. Everything they do is fucking great. So if I'd have known that, I probably would have at least been more open to it. But Amy mentioned it. She's like, it's funny when she's constantly watching shit on her phone that I would never even touch with a 10-foot pole. She knows that. She doesn't even bring it up. Like, it's just not happening,
right.
So she mentioned, though, she's like, do you want to watch this? And I'm like, Last of Us? I'm like, no, fuck that. No, fuck. Again, I didn't know it was HBO yet. I was just like, I don't fucking want to watch that. And then I saw Jim Cummings, who is one of my indie filmmaking fucking superheroes. He made the beta test was his last one. Thunder Road was a big. He had a short that did Sundance, and then got to make the feature as a result of that. That also did Sundance. Phenomenal film. I cannot recommend looking that film up enough. His new one's a little bit. Beta test is a little niche-y, I think. It's not nearly as widely consumable. In any event, great filmmaker. Fucking love him. And I mentioned he tweeted about it, and he said it was just fucking incredible. And I was like, okay, fine. And so, we watched it, dude. And yes, dude, it is, I just can't believe how good it is. I can't believe they're walking the line of adhering to and respecting the original IP so closely. And also just being, like, if it didn't have shit to do with The Last of Us, it would just be incredible anyways, And, like, that has really got to be so hard to do, It's why most licensed stuff is shitty, because they're making fucking jokes and winking about fucking dumbass. It's just, but none of that is in there, man. And it is just a perfectly done adaptation of something. There are like 4 episodes in, maybe 3, I think. And fuck HBO. The one thing I hate with HBO, they fucking do the weekly. They dump it out once a week thing. They're feeling like fucking it's 1997 or something. It's like, fucking just give me the whole thing. I don't need to fucking do this. I would already be done with it for sure. But yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend. And this is a video game podcast, so it's semi-topical, I think, but really fucking well done. And yeah, cannot recommend it enough. So good.
That is funny.
Did you play the game or?
I have the game. It came on my PlayStation 4, which I hardly ever turn on. You know what I mean? I played it once, and the kids were like around me, and of course they were like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "All right, I can't play this for other kids."
It is not child material now.
Yeah,
it's very, very, very serious subject matter.
Yeah, it's honestly one of those like out of sight, out of mind things that I just forgot about because I never have that system turned on. But now with I keep hearing about the show, which unfortunately we just canceled HBO because we're like, what show are we watching on HBO right now? So we just canceled it. But I keep hearing about the show, so now I'm thinking, all right, maybe I need to go back and actually play the game. Get it done.
So good, yeah, so good. Yeah, I mean that's also why I like it. It takes something, it's a fucking. It's not. Calling it just a zombie thing is not at all. That's not doing it justice or being fair to it.
That's why I'm glad it's more than that, because I was just kind of like, it's zombies. What? It's just another zombie thing. But
even that aspect of it, it's not. It's a pandemic, is what it is, and it manifests itself in a way that is very zombie-like, I guess. But that's not at all what's going on with it. And yeah, it's very much. Same reason I love World War Z as a book. It's like instead of focusing on just like idiots shooting zombies in the head, like fucking Walking Dead or something, and just surviving out in the wasteland or whatever. It's like it really factors in the socioeconomic impact of something like that happening in the real world, and just does a really, really smart, interesting analysis and. Just raising the different subjects that would come up in that context really well and really intelligently. And that's it. The game did that, and the show was doing that too. And yeah, highly recommend both. Anyways, on to gaming. I finally got the let out of my ass and started emulating arcade games. Jay, MAME is a little bit of extra work and knowledge to get the hang of, and that's why I've never done it, especially previous to RetroArch and like having to have a standalone MAME emulator. I even downloaded one and tried to do it years ago, and it's like fucking stereo instructions, like 80 stereo instructions. It's just really.
Yeah, even you saying MAME, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, it's really They have like, it's not like the same. It's because arcade games, they're all on different OS. Like the boards that make up an arcade cabinet all are kind of just. It's not like having all they have to do is emulate a fucking Nintendo Entertainment System, and then every ROM will work for that. You know what I mean? So there's no standardized
arcade emulator.
Yeah, there's no standardized hardware to emulate. That's why. So MAME is constantly being updated, and then the ROM sets, the ROM chipsets, are also constantly being emulated. So. Like, getting those two things to match up in an emulator is it's like a guessing game. So, like, there are, I want to say, like 7 or 8 that are just downloadable cores in RetroArch. There's probably more out there, more versions, and RetroArch only bothers with these 7 or 8, whatever it is. So, every time I download a ROM, I'm like, before I even like integrate it into my library with like getting the box art and all that shit, I'm like going through this process of like testing it with each one of the cores, each version of the main core, rather. I even found another one, Neo something plus, just in case, and that hasn't worked a single time. So maybe I'm wasting my time with that, but I don't even know. so like, I'm like trying to with like 7 or 8 different things, and like when it doesn't work, it's not just like, at least not always. Sometimes it does just like go to the game screen and say something's wrong, something's missing, it doesn't work, whatever. But sometimes it just crashes the fucking emulator. Sometimes the fucking emulator freezes and I gotta go to fucking the task manager to close it. Like, it's just like a fucking complete Wild West for whether or not a game's gonna work when you download it. So it's a lot more work, but I've kind of gotten the system worked out, and like not every ROM I'm downloading works going through that system. So sometimes I just end up deleting them, and because I'm not gonna have that game, so I'm not gonna do more. It's not that important to me for any of these games. Like I said, I don't have any nostalgia stuff or arcade stuff that's too strong. But I've gotten quite a few to work, and it's wild to play. I mean, I can't believe how well they work, and like it's just, I don't know, having an arcade game on your laptop is a very different feeling than one of the home systems. I don't know how to describe that difference, but there is one. And so yes, there's a bunch of stuff. I'm stacking a whole bunch of like the things that Rampage, Raston, Frogger, Marble Madness, Gunsmoke, X-Men. Couldn't get TMNT to work, the 4-player one, unfortunately. Where I don't know if I tried The Simpsons. I don't think I have tried The Simpsons. That one's not as important to me. But X-Men worked, and I was pleased about that because out of any of those like multiplayer beat 'em up that were in that era, X-Men's definitely my favorite, even over Turtles. So I was pleased that I got that one to work. But so yeah, there's a handful of games that I really, Frogger in particular, like that's definitely the best Frogger. Having that is fucking dope. Strider, dude, I got Strider. Strider
in the arcade.
Dude, Sega of America did a fucking phenomenal job of that port, dude. It looks exactly the same. It sounds exactly the same. It feels exactly the same. It is the exact same fucking game. It's wild to me, dude, how great or how perfectly identical they are. They did such a good job with that port. So I got that one. And actually, I posted shit about that. There's, all these games. I mostly just download ones I played before. That's the thing, too. I don't have any idea. I didn't play arcade. I have a very small knowledge base with which to work from to even like what do I want to download or try to download. And I posted some shit about Strider, and one of our Instagram followers, what was his name? Samus Innie, said that there's a 1996 arcade game called Osman, Osman. That's a Strider like spiritual successor. That was in arcade, released in '96. And he's right about that. I downloaded that one. That's pretty good. So, like, I'm sure eventually I'll start to get to play shit that I've just never played before because of that, So that's a cool thing I've been fucking around with here and there. The Walkabout Atlantis course dropped. It's underwater. That's my shit. It's fucking incredible. Very, very good. -15 on my first easy course play, Jay. Even par on my first hard run, that's
impressive.
Not... To be even par on those fucking hard courses, especially the first time. Although, every time I've said this before, like, I usually have the distribution for the way my hard scores go is always a little funny in that. It starts off a little lower than where I kind of settle at early. And then, of course, you get good at it and it works back down. Right. But, like, the first time through, I'm always a little better than, like, the second, third, and fourth times through. And I don't know why that is. But that is a definitively dependable data fucking trend,
Maybe you just kind of come in instinctively doing what you think is the best move. Right. And then
you overthink
the third and fourth time, you're like, all right, I can do this a little better. I can try this move. And then so you just fail a little bit.
Very good guess. Very good hypotheses, Jay. I got 13 of the 18 balls on my first go through, and I had the putter the first night, of course. Found all the balls since, so there's nothing too tough in there ball-wise. And then been jamming on Demio on the reg. You and I got a game in on your birthday, which was cool. I haven't done that in a while. Actually, you got to take down the Serpent Lord with the Wizard Punch on your Dammy, which is pretty good. Pretty good birthday fodder, I think. I've been really pounding on Jab about this game, dude. And he claims, the other night that he's downloading it next week. So
what?
Yes. So we might
see.
Yeah, we might be able to play Demio with Jab soon, which is pretty wild.
Nice.
I finished the last Clockwinder. That was fucking dope. Really, zero things about that declined as far as my enthusiasm or like it's just beautiful game, beautiful mechanics, such a good, brilliant use of VR's possibilities. Mm-hmm. The end was definitely challenging, and I said I was like going through and like really optimizing probably the first half of the whatever you want to call those puzzles or whatever in the first half of the game. The back half had things that was just like, nope, just get it done and get to the next thing. Like, no way in hell I'm going to get the maximum number of units per minute on this one, and that's not happening. So it got considerably more difficult, which of course lends itself to creating replay value if you want to try to optimize that stuff. I don't know. It's like, again, like the ways to it requires to really hit those more difficult ones would need more movement in a physical space than I have and even want to try to make happen for me. So I think that's a little bit of a detractor, I guess, but pretty fucking good either way. Incredible game. Like, I just cannot recommend it enough. I tried. Have you seen? I bet these are on not just VR things. Moss. Are you familiar with that?
No.
That franchise.
That? Huh.
So it's there's a one in it. There's a sequel and the first one on VR, and like it's got like a AAA feel to it. I'm trying to think what the developer is. I should have written that down. Bad podcasting. But it's you play a little mouse character, and it's like a fantastical. You're on an adventure. The first one, anyways. You're on an adventure in the forest, and you are and like you control. You're like he like does something in the very beginning that brings this omnipotent God figure into the world, kind of looking over him. and that god figure can manipulate things in the environment, and you got to control the mouse. So it's kind of like Carly and the Reaper combined. You have to deal with both mechanics, and it's not nearly as intricate of puzzles. Like it takes into consideration the fact that you're now controlling two entities, thankfully, but. It does still have some puzzle elements too, for sure, and it's also got a little bit of action stuff going on with the mouse, and you got to like make him platform through the 3D environment and stuff. It's super fucking cute. It's absolutely beautiful, gorgeous game. Won a ton of awards. Has phenomenal presentation wrapped around the gameplay too, like the storytelling and stuff is really fucking good. I tried it because I was looking for a new story game, and it was another one of those ones where they did a free trial, so you got like 30 minutes of free access to it to try it out, and 100% I was like, that game's been there. Those games have been there from square one, I think, when I got it and recommended in the store and stuff, and I was just like kind of looking at it. I was like, it looks kind of like a fucking platformer, and that's not my favorite thing to do at all, let alone in VR. So I've kind of held off, but it's fucking great. I probably won't buy it. I didn't buy it. I thought about it. I got really close to it, but they're kind of expensive. The sequel is like $30 or $40. The first one is 20, I think, maybe. So I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna wait for a sale, but I probably will play them eventually. So fuck with that a little bit, and then yes, Deism behind me, dude. So remember how I said I wanted to find a modern way to play Populous?
Yeah.
Boom, this landed in my life. Like literally a week later.
Really?
So it had been on my list. The Rough Talk VR guys covered it, and I knew it was a God game thing of some kind, and that they liked it and said it was pretty good. And then I saw it on sale as a bundle with Little Cities for $23.99. So Deism was $15, Little Cities was maybe the same, 15 or 20, something like that. And combined $24, so 30% off on both. So I bid on it. And Little Cities is kind of it's very close to that City VR game, the SimCity, basically. It's a little cuter and a little more stylized, and they're all on little islands, so it's not like City VR is like just SimCity. It's like you have a huge sprawling landscape, and you build over it's a long-term thing. Little Cities is kind of like, as the name I guess would insinuate, it's like these little tiny problem sets on these little islands, and you're just trying to maximize this small amount of space. And it's much more focused on like the aesthetic, and you get style points for making it look pretty and pairing things. So it's a little less simmy, I guess, and a little more, I guess that's kind of an arcadey thing, or something a little different than traditional SimCity, I guess. Anyways, Deism is, yes, it's fucking Populous, dude. So it's got a really cool base mechanic in that you start, and it's just like this very small square of land, and you are a god. So you have to build the world. So it starts a little earlier than Populous, I guess, but there's like this very small plot of land, and then you like can pull up this menu, and you can just grab these building blocks for the world, like plots of grass, plots of forest, stone that can be mined, mountains, volcanoes if you want to put them down, water to build the oceans and stuff. And you literally just throw these things, and you like just throw them down, and it's like on a grid. And you throw down your square of water, and like, okay, then now that's water. And then you throw down a fucking plot of grass, and then you can take animals and populate that square with animals. Or like I said, you can put a mine on it, or you can put a whole bunch of different things that kind of make it not manipulable, but so the human beings can extract things out of it, and then if you create an environment that could nurture human life develops in those spaces, and then you don't have direct control over them. They kind of act autonomously, and you as the god are trying to keep them allegiant to you from a religious perspective, and you can do all these things just like in Populous, where you can, like, if they do things you don't like, you can fucking take thunder or lightning and fucking strike them to death. You can throw locusts down to create famine in their fucking farm fields. You can or you obviously, as other civilizations develop that are just inherently not following your religion, you can go over there and just wipe them out. Or like your developments, wow, or your cities, or whatever you want to call them, town centers, civilizations develop armies eventually too, and then they'll go out and kind of take over other cities or whatever, and of course that infuses your religion into it too. So it's funny, I don't really know the actual goal of the game. And I've even gotten to the point where I've built the world to a place, and you can get, it's pretty big. Like, the movement thing is pretty cool in that you just, like, you hold the stick up and it creates this little light pointing down on a space, and you can just let go and teleport all the way over there. So you can, like, move pretty quickly across a pretty big map once you create it. But I've gotten to the point where on this first game I've started, where it won't let me build anymore. It says, like, you've built the max number of tiles. So the goal is not to just keep building. It's not like an infinite builder. And, I mean, I guess I have not converted every human being on the map into my religion, so maybe that's the goal. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a total score. Like, I just don't know what the goal is. I don't know what the goal is. Like, you know, you keep building stuff and you're like, they'll, like, you know, eventually wipe out the forest, and you can regenerate the forest. Same with the animals and stuff. And, like, you know, they start building ships and trading amongst each other and stuff. And, like, it develops kind of civilization-y to some degree, or even Age of Empires, I'm sure, like, in that they kind of are acting autonomously, and there's, like, a commerce to it, and they need to trade. Certain things, like developing weapons and stuff, they can't build it themselves. It has to involve trade with other civilizations. They go through different phases of, like, industrial eras, information eras, you know, like the buildings and stuff develop over time. It's like there's all these things that, like, suggest progress, but I don't know what the metric is to win, or if there even is one. So, like, it's a little weird of a game in that. And I didn't play Populous enough to know if it's, like, just a direct thing. it was fucking up for me. Like, sometimes every third time maybe I turn it on, and, like, the frame rate's all fucked up and choppy. And I have to basically power cycle the fucking Oculus a time or two to make that stop. So I tweeted the developer, and, you know, he's just a dude. He's like an indie developer that made the game. I was like, hey man, is that like a fucking, you know, is this a problem that, like, anyone else is reporting? Do you have a solution? Whatever. And he's like, no, it's been reported. It's pretty, you know, of course he's saying that not a ton of people are reporting it. He's like, it's just kind of a thing. Like, it's a bug. We don't really know. It goes away for most people. I guess for them, they're probably power cycling too. But anyways, I have an open dialogue with him. I kind of want to ask him, like, what's the point of this game, dude? Like, what's the point? It's a great game. I'm into it, but I don't know what my goal is, and I'm curious.
Josh, you're the god. Like, you decide what the goal is. So, like,
that's true. Yeah. And there's, like, so that you can, like, pick the people up. There's, like, heretics are a problem, so they'll develop, and they're like they're like kind of highlighted red, and they're like, they run around your civilization. You just walk up to them, or you go over to where they're at, and you can reach down onto the ground and pick them up, and they go, uh-oh! like you found them, you know, and you can just whip them out into the fucking ether, you know, and fucking to eliminate them. Or you can create these, like, whirlpools in the ocean, and you can drop them down that. You can, like, just bounce them off the side of a mountain, and they bust into fucking bones, you know, like, so it's very, it really pushes all the god stuff a lot, you know. It really gives you that power.
I'm watching the video of it. It looks interesting. Like, I like the idea of it. How does it feel? How do you feel about the actual graphics in the world in VR? Like, when you're actually playing it, because this looks very basic, but it's YouTube, yeah. So I know I can't tell.
Yeah, no, it's got that kind of, it's certain. Well, the tone of it is cartoony too. But, you know, I mean, I've said that before. Like, that, you know, the Oculus is not trying to recreate AAA visuals.
No, I know that. This looks so basic. I'm like, does it feel like this when you're playing it, or does it feel better? Like, you know, it's not a problem when you're playing.
It's not a problem. No, it's like I said, it goes with the tone. You know, like, you know, UFOs will come down, which I actually just learned you can, like, fucking fuck them up. I didn't realize that. You can, like, shoot them with thunder, and they, like, fucking topple over and fall down. You know, like, fucking. So you can even like instill your will as a god onto the aliens visiting the planet. But yeah, if you, like, look up into the sky, you know, you can see the sun and the moon, and they're like hyper polygonal. Like, the goal is to feel the polygonal graphics, I think. Yeah, I think that's just the style of it, you know. Like I said, it's one dude, so I wouldn't expect him to be polishing corners on polygons. Every polygon, you know, it's probably was not the intent even at the outset of it. But yeah, I mean, it has that walkabout mini golf. Honestly, is the best comp I can think visually.
Okay.
You know, there is I don't know. I'm sure they would love for it to look perfect, but like they're totally cool with it. I think having that cartoony polygonal look to it. That
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sure that's also just a little bit of limitation of the headset. Like that mobile fucking platform they have is not by any length. I'm sure PSVR 2 will be much better looking. Fucking Amber actually emailed me. That's rolling out. Demio is rolling out on PSVR 2, I guess. She offered me a look at it. I'm like, I don't think I'm getting a PlayStation, but cool offer.
Yeah,
I bet it'll look cool on there.
Like I'm definitely not investing in both the PlayStation and the VR 2. Like that's I'm good, man.
No way. Yeah, and yeah, that's funny too. Like because Demio actually looks really polished, and it doesn't.
Demio looks great.
Yeah, so so it's not that it's not possible, but that's also a much smaller. It's just a little tiny board in a basement, and the basement actually does look kind of polygonal. So.
Yeah, but I mean, even when you zoom in, like all the characters, like they have detail and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
To me, that looks really great.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though, it's easier to do from a system performance perspective if it's just that tiny little area as opposed to doing that, rendering that for an entire fucking world.
That's true.
Very, very different things. Yeah, pretty good, and I mean certainly worth the fucking 30% off thing. I mean that's like what fucking $12 or something. So very, very, very fun game, even if I don't understand what I'm doing. And then the last thing, I ordered I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and I checked before, but it's fucking like $40 in the Xbox store. I'm like, I'm not giving those cunts $40 fucking dollars for a game that came out in 2015.
For what game?
Divinity Sin. I mentioned in the text channel last night. Yeah.
Okay.
And you said you played that before. You said you were playing that with Courtney at one point, right?
Yeah, we started playing it at first, and then like we both have it, and I can't remember what our thoughts were of it, but after like having played ESO for a couple years, like there's another couple that we played regularly in a guild with ESO that doesn't play ESO anymore that we were started playing with as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely we've dabbled in it a bit. Like it was pretty decent. It's a decent game.
I mean, it's a phenomenal game. Like Amy and I played it years ago. I think it was on the PS4. Played it a ton, and then it like broke on us. We like, at least we think it's tough because like we would get sporadic with playing it, and it's such a story heavy game. There's a lot of conversation in it and stuff, and that's maybe the biggest attractor. But it's very well done, and it's it's kind of irrelevant, but it's like very, very detailed game, and we would kind of like come in and out of it. And if you can get in, you can come back after not playing a while. You're like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I have a quest log, but there's so much information in the quest log. Like and I'm sure we did because we got stuck to the point where like we don't know what to do. We can't. Like I think one quest broke, and then we couldn't figure out what to do from there or something. And then like. I'm sure at some point we went through every single line of the fucking quest log trying to figure out what the fuck to do next, and tried them all and just could not figure it out. So we ended up just quitting. We looked around. I think we even found maybe some Reddit posts that said we weren't alone in this happening, so that kind of supported our theory. So we ended up not finishing it, not beating the game. I don't even remember how far it was, and we played the shit out of it for a while, so I know it was not in the beginning. So we've tried this before, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen this time, of course. But yeah, I ordered a physical copy. It occurred to me, I was like, I don't have to pay for digital copies of these games from the fucking Xbox store. I can go on eBay, get a disc, even though I fucking almost forget that this thing has a fucking disc slot on it, and just pay, $12 or something for a disc. And yeah, I mean, I found a copy of it for the enhanced version even. I don't think we played the enhanced version last time. They kind of remastered it. There's a 2 too, or a sequel as well, I believe. And I ordered this one, and I wasn't even sure. I couldn't remember which one we played even. So there's 2 games of it, So if this works, and we actually get through it this time, there's a whole nother one to do. But yeah, dude, it's an incredible game. It's real time. It's like, hyper D&D type shit, like really involved character developments. You create characters. I think eventually you can recruit additional ones to the party. But it's like real time moving around and exploring and stuff above and below, like in dungeons and on the overworld. And it doesn't really differentiate kind of. It's like that seamless, where it just doesn't matter. It doesn't have like a different tone or different operational feel to it when you go into a dungeon or whatever. And you get into the battles and it becomes turn-based, but it even does that in kind of like you have a certain number of action points, but like when you move around, it doesn't feel turn-based. You're not like moving on a grid or anything. It does a very good job of like trying to cut away the matrix of playing a turn-based battle game, it tries to make it feel kind of real-timey, which is a pretty cool mechanic implementation, I think. But yeah, it's super involved, million fucking spells, dude. You can all sorts of crafting, alchemy, spells, fucking weapons, creating your own weapons.
Wait, are we talking about 2 or the original one?
I'm talking about Divinity Sin original one right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. We played Divinity Original Sin 2.
Okay,
that's the one we were playing.
I'm sure. I mean, to my now, I'm guessing they're quite similar. I think because the first one, I mean, it did very well to my understanding. So I'm sure the second one is probably very close to the same. But yeah, I'm playing the original one, or we're playing the original one.
Okay.
Yeah, very fucking very, 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 very good. And we just started last night. Amy was falling asleep because we went hiking, so she can't stay awake. But we started a little bit last night, and we're playing a shit ton more.
That is the Insector X Round 2 Plateau Area theme, bringing us into our second issue of Sega Visions. Let's do this, sir.
October, November 1990. $3.50 cover price. Still a relatively brief 44 pages. And we are a day late and $1 short yet again, Jay. Strider is the cover feature here.
All throughout the issue, I'm like, look at this big Strider is awesome headline spread. I'm like, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
thanks for sharing.
Listen on all those tips we could have used. Yeah, we always do our game apps just before they get their plushest mag coverage.
So maybe this is a lesson in Josh's excitement. So next time you're super excited about a game, I'm going to tell you, let's hold this back another episode, and then we'll see how I feel.
Maybe. It's not bad. Like I said, I don't think it's. I don't know. The argument can be made for both sides, but I think this is a very, very divisive issue, Jay. As far as whether or not, yes, we're doing the mags, and the mags I would even say are the foundation for not. I would even say they, without a question, are the foundation from which this entire podcast exists. The games are just tangents that magnify what we're analyzing within the magazines themselves. So the argument can obviously be made that we should be using the strongest magazine representations of them or appearances of them as part of our analyses. But I think the flip side of that argument is we are still doing that, but doing it from a more knowledgeable perspective by having played the games before we see or go through the bigger features on the games. So, there's a lot.
Good point.
It's a very, very divisive issue, I think. And I don't know if we'll ever get to the right answer for that. Yeah. Or if there even is one, I guess is maybe the better way to say it. But yes, Strider is awesome is the top headline here. And that is followed by 4 chest-pounding bullet points. Exclusive on Sega Genesis. First 8-mag US game ever. Astonishing graphics. Radical gameplay. And yeah, having just played this, I don't think I would refute any of these claims. Would you, Jay?
Yeah, especially compared to the freaking dumpster fire of the NES version, which still just, I'm going to keep referencing that over and over because I'm shocked as a kid who loved my NES, to see such a thing happen. So, but I got to admit, they're completely different games.
Yeah, we mentioned what was it, eSWAT, where that's the perfect product demo comparison thing. That's not a bad one for if they want to also put one right next to that of an NES and a Genesis next to each other. The Strider's the one for that, I think, for sure. There was someone, I can't remember what his name was, but there was someone on the Facebook page that posted something about this from that last episode, and someone got in there and said that they liked the Strider one more, and I was like, whoa, that is a crazy take. And I like the Strider one. I like the Metrovania shit. I like a lot of it. Yeah, but that is if you know both intimately, that is a wild perspective to say that the NES one is better. That is wild.
Right. The fact that the Sega one was straightforward and not like that, I really appreciate it. Come on now.
Yeah, if you want to get a foothold on an argument, to say that if you just don't like action platformers, which that's not a fucking perspective I'm all too not aligned with.
Maniac.
Yeah. But if you prefer that kind of, the Metroidvania stuff and like a little more involved of a story and just objective set, like I get that, but the controls are so bad. The controls are so bad, and it relies so much still on the action side of it. It's not like, yes, if you just hate action platformers and you want to play a good story game, then you should go play Dragon Warrior. You should, or fucking, something that's
There's
just
lots of them.
Just goes that complete other direction. You don't need to have a middling, a suboptimal middling data point instead. So I don't know. It's tough argument to make to say anything about the NES one is better, but. The artwork is an illustrated adaptation of the title screen pixel art of Grandmaster Mayo. He's holding an orb covered in blue fire, though the orb is not the Earth here. It is just a glass ball with a silhouette of someone inside, so there's a slight tweak. They include his most iconic shit-talking in a quote, too. "You dare fight me?" And is that... I'm guessing that's probably the arcade voice sample, but I think that's in a fucking hip-hop album from, like, the 90s, dude. I think it's in, like, a Wu-Tang album or something. The more I see that in print... the more someone is saying it in my head that I am not making it up. And yeah, that is in like a fucking Wu-Tang album or something, I think. And I've tried Googling around trying to find it. I couldn't figure it out. But yeah, it is real. "You dare fight me" is absolutely sampled in some fucking... I would not
be surprised. I would not be surprised that it
some
doesn't come
CD
from, like,
I got
Kung
from
Fu
fucking
movie,
Columbia
too.
House.
Yeah.
Also, probably, yeah. Hey, that's it could be, yeah. I mean, that might be it too. And maybe that's why it was sampled and not this video. Because that's kind of the crazy thing is like the idea of a Wu-Tang album sampling Strider is crazy to me.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, don't doubt the RZA. He pulls from all the right sources. Okay,
That's
like
true,
he can pull from the Genesis if need be, if that's what he needed to create his.
Well, like I
genius.
said, I don't think he has the voice sample in the Genesis. It would have been the arcade, but yeah, either way. I love that they have the quote there, and it's in like quotations, like they're
right.
Or there are quotations, I guess, but it is like
the master,
the master from Strider. It's like signed, like it's a fucking.
He's real, man. This is legit.
Yeah, like it's like he's a fucking notable figure from history. The background is a very attention-grabbing red version of the game box black thatch background too. I like that. Little flavor taste. And then also in this issue, they have Party Line, and this looks at companies designing hot games from Sega Genesis for Sega Genesis. The High Point, which is hot shot, high-scoring Visions readers. And then plus game reviews, strategies, and hints for Sega Master and Genesis. And yes, just Sega Master. Dropping the system off that description must be one of their tactics for revving the system's lifespan back up is my best guess. But they did not include it here. Moving to the inside cover is a full pager for the Genesis release of Tengen's neon-tastic puzzler Klax, and the first we've seen of it making its way to the dark side, off the Nintendo and into the Sega universe. And a really cool thing about this that I like a lot, Tengen is doing some like serious trailblazing here, I think. In a magazine ad of the time anyways. They're including a toll-free phone number you can call to order the game directly from them without having to deal with an intermediary retailer. And, that's not present on most of these, if any of them, so that's pretty cool. It says, just have your Visa or MasterCard ready. And that... Yes, exactly. It
that
rings
statement.
It rings true to you. Yeah, so every infomercial, you have to be of a certain age, of course, to relate to this, but every infomercial on late night TV used to say that exact line. Call now to order your Sobakawa pillow. Just have your Visa or MasterCard ready. And two things about that. One, just the patterned, every one of them said it for some reason or another. Mm-hmm. And that's probably largely because there was only a handful of production companies probably making those, and they were just turning and burning on those, I bet. Just had a very defined system for them and like fucking using the same VR or the same VO reader every time, whatever. But also, none of those motherfuckers were ever down to pay the extra 1% merchant fee from Amex. That's also the reason that's the line. And there was no mention of American Express, It's like this, how lean can we make this operation for infomercials? Simpler times. So the ad is this big pink hand. That's the centerpiece, and it also has a solid marketing move, or rather, that is a solid marketing move. I don't think I mentioned appreciate it when I saw it for NES and the Game Pro. It's like a very recognizable thing, and it's very in line with what the game is, the branding, that 90s fucking thing, you know.
Super attention grabbing.
Yeah.
with the neon colors that we love. Yeah. They're like, whoa, in your face. You're going to look at this ad. Like, you're absolutely going to look at this ad.
Well, 100%. Yeah, I was thrilled. Seeing this, I was like, ooh. I didn't even think of that because when we found it on NES, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I didn't have any exposure to it prior to seeing it in whatever mag we first saw it in. And so, yeah, I was presuming that the Genesis version would just tower over the NES one in quality. So I was pretty fired up, and I fired it up, and they still have, they open it up, and they still have it is the 90s, and there's time for ... clacks line that, I don't know. It's not really that good, but they are really tied to it. It's in all the versions of the games. But it does not, yeah, they do not have that weird blob ball mini game in the options menu. I don't know if you remember that or not. On the NES version, they have like a weird mini game. Yeah, it was like a pretty cool, it was kind of Pong-y, I think. But with this blob that could, whatever, had a little bit of different functionality to it. But yeah, they didn't have that in here, and it's a Genesis game. They should. There's no, cutting things out for the Genesis version is crazy to me. So that's not in here, and that's fucking lame. And then the game, it's great, it's good. It looks a little better probably, but
it still clacks.
Well, it still clacks, but that's a good thing. I was disappointed, I guess, that there wasn't more of a quality disparity. I feel like Tengen probably could have went a little harder to separate the output of all those extra 8 bits that the Genesis has that the Nintendo don't. So I was disappointed with, I don't know, again, the disparity just wasn't that much better, I don't think. Still dope and fun, though. Very challenging, just like Bejeweled, columns, whatever. Yep. A very clip art-rific, but still better than Game Pro's TOC, gets us to a very bluntly labeled a letter from the publishers. And my biggest takeaway from this letter is that Nintendo is living rent-free in Sega's head at this time. Yeah, like the big wigs must have been just like nonstop spewing endless internal rhetoric that Nintendo be thy enemy, and either slay them or the head will roll. Like that was just, it must have been such a mono focus of theirs. Just like, we gotta do something about Nintendo. Like Nintendo is the problem. As if like, just focus on your own shit and make it better. Don't worry about what Nintendo's doing. Like, yes, they're a competitor, but your first problem is your own shit. Like, make your own shit better. That's not the way to beat Nintendo is not worrying about Nintendo.
Well, maybe I would argue that's the reason why they are focusing on Nintendo, because they know their product is better, so they're just like, look, like they don't have what we have, like we got this, So right. I think they get it. I think they get it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a marketing department, and they should be obviously fully focused on that, while the other departments that make the games should be doing their thing. Sure, but it's just it is still funny to me. Just you're Nintendo, dude. How many times have you seen the word Sega in a piece of Nintendo anything? Like, no, they don't even
that
exist.
Is true.
Yeah, they're not even a fucking. They're a pissant.
Well, of course, why would they? Nintendo was like 90-something% of the like market share at that time, so it was kind of like,
yeah.
Why would they even talk about them or mention them?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. Get off my fucking porch, you pissant.
It is funny. It is funny that he's like, you didn't follow the pack when you chose your Sega system. Like, love that line. Just I mean, they did it. It's funny to me also that they did just name drop a lot of like 1990 hotness royalty when like sharing the name of the marketing campaign. So kudos to them. We got Buster Douglas, we got Michael Jackson, we got this. So you kind of read this and you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, there's. I mean, yes, they spend an entire. I guess just they start with an entire paragraph self-aggrandizing. Their Genesis does with Nintendo campaign, and like I don't know. To me, it's just the kids are calling it cringy these days. I hate that word, but they're calling it cringy, and it's like they're telling you to keep your eyes peeled for like you should be excited for their advertising campaign.
That is true. I will say that when I was like, that is interesting. You're telling me all these great titles, awesome, but like you're telling me the name of the marketing campaign. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly.
So
like,
it's so
cringe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, like if it's cool, we'll enjoy it, and we did. But don't tell me to cheer it on. Like, don't. the whole thing of marketing is you're not even supposed to know you're being marketed to.
Right,
you know?
it's
You
supposed
like
to be natural. Like, I do want that. Like, Nintendo
Right,
don't. You know, like you want Nintendo.
They're just not good at it yet. I do like this. So the second to last paragraph is telling us about the third-party developers. They're onboarding for the Genesis, and they say they have 17 in the fold already. They're expecting that to double by January 91. So that's only 3 months away. So this is definitely and like
that's a lot of developers, man.
It'll come back up a lot later on, but like this entire issue, that's the whole I'm sure. We know these are just marketing tools, both Nintendo Power and Sega Visions. And I think Nintendo did a better job of it and just making it feel like a magazine. Sega has definitely not figured that out yet. And just like we were just talking about, they just kind of, I don't know, the thing we were saying about telling us about the advertising campaign. They just don't, someone over there just didn't have the right feel for it yet. Because, they're like, you can just tell that that they sat down when they were making this issue. And they're like, here's the core principle for this issue is our 17 new developers. And it's just like the whole issue is just hammering on it constantly. It's like, shut the fuck up. Don't stop telling us the number. Like just show us the games are cool and we'll feel that it's a lot. We don't need to be told that it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you, but I also counterpoint. In my mind as a kid, and when I look at these, Sega was more of a older person system, like older teen, older adult kind of system. Like you understood more about technology and these kind of things. So I look at this and I'd be like, from that standpoint, that looks cool to me. Like, wow, you telling me all these like amount of developers that you have and all these games coming and all this bits and like you're explaining that to me. And if I'm in a tech and I'm older, that makes sense and I'm getting hyped. If I'm a kid, I'm just like you said, I'm just like, whatever, I'm like,
where are the games?
Show me the games. Yeah. And maybe, I mean, clearly we know how history worked out, so,
I guess maybe, I don't know. I just, to me, it was just such a thing that I could just, I don't know, I could see the framework of it so frequently.
Me as a kid at this time, I'm definitely like flipping past the letter from the publisher. I'm at Reddit. But
sure.
Like you said, I looked at the games and kind of,
I'm not saying little kids would have all saw this. This is 100% 41-year-old me looking at this, like, again, being able, I guess, I feel like I can see the rivets in the fucking.
Yeah, for sure.
So they cite Tengen, Seismic, Razorsoft, and Electronic Arts as big fish they're especially proud of, and I hear that. EA in particular they become the cornerstone of the Genesis, or my Genesis era. So, that's, I'm thankful that they had this focus and made this happen because I got a lot of good games out of it. But again, they just could have done a better job of making it, not seeing the seams on the fucking drywall. A full pager from a publisher calling themselves Renovation Products, Inc. is next, and they're touting 2 futuristic themed titles here I've never heard of. There is Whiprush, a Vic Tokai-developed side-scrolling space shmup, and Final Zone from a developer called Wolf Team, an isometric mech suit action game. The first is an October release, latter November, so play ball on both of these. And Whiprush is a lengthy title sequence, or has a lengthy title sequence that's pretty fun. And when the gameplay first started, all I could think to myself was, fuck this, there's no way this is good. But then I kept playing it, dude. Did you try this one?
Yeah, man, it's a fun little flying shooter. I don't like that the pod is small, but if I had this game as a kid, I'd totally be chilling.
I think this might be the most enjoyable side-scrolling space shmup I've ever played, maybe.
Dude.
Like, I fucking loved this.
This whole issue might as well be called Flying Shmups, and I'm playing ball.
There are a lot of them, and
let's roll.
I don't want to foreshadow too much, man, but I see those and I'm like fucking glossing over mentally immediately, and there are a lot of times those magazines like, no, bitch, pay attention.
Yes, and let's go.
Yeah. I got all the way to the second boss before running out of lives in my first play, and I was having a great time the whole time. Graphics, music, controls, all great, and there's power-up changes and progression stuff galore with that. I almost immediately was thinking to myself, I bet Jay loves this shit.
I told you I wanted to take my time to play these, and I'm glad I did. If I glossed through this issue, I would have been very disappointed. I would have missed out.
Yep.
And 100%. This starts with this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's on it for a game up, of course, but I added it to the shit worth playing list, and the link to that is also in the show notes. Completely left field banger from a developer, Vic Tokai, that is heinous and the absolute dog shit they vomit out for the NES. So I don't know. I hope that's a trend that continues for the Genesis. That I don't know. I don't. Maybe
that's limitations. They gave them the Genesis, and they're like, Look at what we can do. Look at this.
I don't know. And
like, that thing you wanted to do back on NES, we can do it here.
Yeah, and that's a really cool thing about what we're doing here and making this move. We spent all that time, 3 years of I guess maybe 2 and some change of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And then I did a year with Jab before, where we're this really deep dive in the NES, and like you form all these opinions and have these beliefs and like whatever, and then you make this shift to the 16-bit era, and it changes the toolbox, man, and it changes. Who knows what else will be like that? Where it's like, holy fuck, like this company that like just the next thing we know, FCI is gonna be making bangers. It's gonna be like, what the fuck is going on here? And who knows? It's a simple like. Even without the technology difference, they hire someone who happens to be good that they lucked into finding on a school, whatever. Who knows what the fucking causation would be? But you also have, it's a different toolbox, and
or maybe they just got better. You know what I mean? Maybe their second game, they're like,
that. But it's if you sit a programmer down in front of a development fucking kit for something, it's a different fucking box of shit, and like who knows what comes out of that? Maybe they just have a better predisposition for it, and it's just who the hell knows what's gonna happen. That's really really cool part of this that is really fun, and I was excited to see this instance of it rather. So Final Zone is not getting added to the shit worth playing list. It is shit. but not of the varietal worth playing.
So this is Gundam giant robot action. Like I feel like this could be good or it could be meh. Like I wanted to like it because I like the way I like the look of it and everything. Like I wanted to like it.
I was intrigued with like the setup.
Basic. It's kind of like what's happening. Like you're not giving me much direction. Like it's just. Yep. I'm not going to spend the time to do this. Like I want to like it, but
the controls felt yuck, and you're just wandering around this repetitive-looking isometric urban environment, trying to kill. I think the goal was to try to kill a certain number of these boring and repetitive-looking enemies that were very hard to locate. Like it badly needed a radar or something to assist with.
Right.
Locating.
A little couple tweaks there. Maybe you have a game, but as is.
Yeah. I bet it's probably still would have sucked, I think, because like I said, it was all like visually it was so repetitive stuff. Yeah. Awful video game. Awful. High Point is next, and the 5 games with high scores yielding a free Sega T are Arnold Palmer Golf, Outrun, Forgotten Worlds, ISOH Game Up alum Revenge of Shinobi, and Target Earth. There's also a subscription pitch on the bottom third of the page, and they point out here that only one more issue will be free. So you could sign up for the first 3 for free via some registration form card or something, probably a packet in the system or with games or something. And I expected, so like I saw this and I started like kind of like, okay, I bet that there'd be a big jump in page count from that 3rd issue to the 4th because of this subscription format change. And if they were going to start charging, they would need to do that. So it's funny to me what it ended up actually being. Just very Sega to me too. Just kind of like, we hope it'll work. Yeah. But so it's like, so the next issue 3, is up to 63 pages, right? Okay, so that's the last one. That's the last one that's going to be free. So they ramp up to like dangle that carrot a little closer,
let you know.
Yeah. And then issues 4 and 5 went back to 48. So what that means to me is, what I interpret that data as is them trying to ramp it up for the last push as they approached the paywall, and when subscription numbers didn't pop, they were just like, fuck it. Just went back to fucking 48 to stop the bleeding, or slow the bleeding. So, it's just so Sega of this time to me, just like, oh, fuck, we're doing it. No, we're not fucking doing it. After that, we get another combo full pager from a fly-by-night publisher, Sage's Creation. And games here are the first 2 in a catalog totaling 7 titles that would span from 90 to 92. So they were relatively short-lived and Genesis only. And that's the thing, too. the 17 developers thing, dude, I started like, because I could see that framework so much, I started looking at the developers and like, were these like, did they, it had hardcore subsidy signal to me. Like they're like, we need to create this, like, this is our core operation purpose right now. We need to create these third party developers that show that we can compete with Nintendo in that way. And to make to pump that number, they're out fucking giving mortgages to people who can't afford them. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what it felt like to me. And this was an instance of that. This is a company that popped up in 1990. All of a sudden, like, here they come just when we need them. Imagine that. And then 2 years later, they're gone after making a few shit games, So there's one in here called Cyclones, or from a company called Cyclone Systems, called Shadow Blasters, and then a Hot B developed in Sector X. Both side-scrolling action shooters that I had very low expectations for. Although, it's funny. I just said all that negative shit about the developer. Cyclone is behind Zoom. So, like, I saw that and I was like, ooh, maybe. I'd be wrong here just as I was about Whip Rush. And then the Shadow Blasters artwork is pretty cool too. It suggests it is medieval fantasy themed. It does have a pretty lit 80s synth wave title track. It has 2-player possibility and a couple options giving the players agency over their experience. 6 level types, 4 characters to choose from. And I thought that would mean it might have some depth. And unfortunately, it does not, though.
Yeah. So many options and then...
terrible. Yeah. Terrible. Awful controls, awful visuals. I absolutely fucking hated it, yeah. The urban level I played was modern feeling. So yeah, you can open it up and it's got a stage select, so you can pick what stage you're going to go into. I happen to pick this urban level, and it has, so the artwork shows this like medieval fantasy thing, and then that was contemporary, so like there's no, I don't know, maybe the other ones aren't like that, who knows, that maybe that's not a fair criticism, but to me that was like a very misleading piece of artwork for what I was getting into, for sure, And Sector X has giant mechanized insect vibes, and this one has a lot more pizzazz to the opening of the game, but it's only one player. It's a flying schmup. The Egyptian pyramids and sphinx heads and whatnot in the desert stage you start in look pretty solid, and I dig the insect sprites. They make me very reminiscent of my boy Tim Clark's Sector toy line that I loved as a kid. But gameplay and music were a little bleh. Far from unplayable, but Whip Rush felt way better, I would say.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first 30 seconds or so. It was not bad, but overall, just there's a lot of games in here that, like I said, if you give it to me, it's like, all right, I'll play this. If I had it as a kid, like I'm fine with it, but like it didn't jump out because there are some other bangers in this episode. So
yeah, we need that no problem with mom taking it back to the rental store vibe. We need to come up with a tagline for that. Like,
yes.
Fucking Be Kind Rewind or something on that. That's a Be Kind Rewind title.
Right. Here you go, Mom.
Yeah. Next up, we get mailbox, and we get 3 letters here. And the first, Charles Harwell in Davis, Kentucky, leads us off with a letter I don't believe was really written by an actual reader. Another one of those. It has this internal propaganda tattooed all over it feel, but I do love it anyways. I emotionally align with this fictitious person because he says he's owned everything from an Atari 2600 to a Nintendo before getting his Genesis, which is my exact gaming trajectory as a child also. So I can emote with this individual that doesn't actually exist a great deal. The thing about this statement is it suggests there's a bunch of data points between them, though, and there isn't really any room Like, I guess like he could have had a 5200, like an Atari 5200 between them, though that seems kind of unlikely. Nobody bought that fucking thing. And only the richest of the rich had both an NES and an SMS, So I just thought that was funny wording to me, which is it was another indicator of the fictitiousness of this individual, I thought. But anyhow, he says he knows the meg limits of the Genesis carts being 8, but that he only knows of Phantasy Star 2 being 6, and the rest of the games to date being a pedestrian 2 megs. And the editor replies that he must be clairvoyant because their new big swinging dick is Strider, and that is a whopping 8 megs. And, my biggest thing with this is no child is writing in asking about megs. They're just not.
Oh, this person's definitely not a child. They're absolutely not a child.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it could have been a late teen, early adult, but it just it seems unlikely to me. I don't know.
This dude's like 26, has a job. You know what I mean?
Job, yeah.
You know,
has a job, deals with megs on a daily basis, and it's
like
fucking.
who else is talking in megs? Like who's looking at that? Like I looked at the gigs only because like marketing told me all the time, like this is a gig, this is 16, this is 32. Like eventually, like who's looking at that gaming, like game wise individually, about like what's actually being output? That's such like next level.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's not possible, but
and clamoring for it no less. Like
right?
Yeah. The second letter writer says they've been gaming since the 60s, and the last one is asking for more couch co-op joints, a political position I very much support, to play with his younger brothers. So perhaps the takeaway is kids aren't writing into the mag at this time. That, your hypothesis that the first one is probably not young, obviously been gaming since the 60s, they aren't either. And Definitely. Then they want couch co-op joints for their younger brother, means they're also an older kid too. So maybe makes sense. Technosoft has a full-pager screaming us at us next for Thunder Force 3, and the artwork is pretty fierce. It's a pretty fierce giant firehawk with very large talons. Is this a
Phoenix? I'm thinking Phoenix coming at you. Like I'm like, holy shit.
Yep.
Interstellar, this is a spaceship. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Chasing after a space fighter jet, like flying into our POV, They have another one of those boards of copy that could be used for any space shooter ever in gaming history. Just when you thought you had seen it all, a new challenge radiates forth from worlds beyond imagination. Surge through scrolling lava flows. Scrolling instead of, that's weird. And the thrust of massive rock caves. Avoid losing control amid perilous bubbles in the murky depths. To encounter even greater challenges in realms of deeper dimension. Like, there is not one specific adjective in that entire thing.
You're just going to be doing a lot of stuff and moving through a lot of places.
Yeah. So they even use the word scrolling, like that, like to take it into video game territory even further, as opposed to just keep it in the story world.
I don't know about you, but this game had terrible controls. I was like, no. I wanted to like it because of this artwork, and I was just like, no. No chance.
Yep. I mean, I could immediately tell it was a well-done game. Like, there's cool title art, good animation, good music. A really cool computer screen crosshair gimmick for the level select menu, amazing background animations, loved all that. Felt very Life Force to me, like even the types of hazards, the size of your sprite relative to the environment, the enemies, the side scrolling, of course, power ups all over the place. Even the speed of the movement of the game, kind of, but like all higher octane because they're on the Genesis. So there's just all these things that was like little single bits of goodness, you know what I mean? But the game as on the whole, yes, felt meh to me, Like, if you're into flying space shmups, like, probably a fun game. Another one of those ones. Again, be kind, rewind. Thanks, Mom. Like, fucking glad you brought it home, but I'm glad you're taking it away, too. It just did not come together as much as the sum of those parts should have, I think. Unfortunately.
Sadly.
We have a 2-banger ad from Sega after that, and I think this sums up what this issue is all about. And this is my thesis, I guess, maybe, that I was saying earlier during the letter shit. Big bold black text on all white background. 17 companies have earned the right to display this seal, and their gold seal of quality is real huge below that. And the second page is one of their catalog pages that follow the 3 bangers we've been seeing in GamePro, but this one is just third-party developers, all 17 of them, in fact. And that's why we're seeing these ads for new games in here I've never heard of or seen ads for. Like, this issue is, yes, all about these third-party development push, and these companies, I doubt they even had to pay for the advertising space. Again, that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure, like, Sega doesn't have the dough to, like, just be flat out handing out money, probably, but they probably are subsidizing the advertising, creating this entire issue. That was probably the pitch. Like, if you do X number of games for us, we'll do X number of free advertising in this great new periodical we have, blah, 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 so.
It makes sense, though. I mean, if you think about it, if you're launching a new system and you're wanting to, like, compete with this juggernaut Nintendo. Like you're going to need games. Like the only people, regardless of what your technology specs are, like people are only going to come if you have good games. And so if you're Sega, it kind of makes sense from that standpoint. Like, hey, there is a library of games. Come check it out. We have
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's.
So I get it.
Yeah, no, it's a great. Again, it's just, I think it's just like so much, so emblematic of just everything about them. Just like there's the idea, like they got someone like a consultant to come in with this really good idea, and they're like, okay, but we can't afford to pay you to stay on, so we're gonna take your idea and we're gonna go implement it. And they get in there and they're like, we don't really know what we're doing. Like we got the memo, but we have no idea how to do this. And like, yeah, they like, you know, they fucking, they just didn't implement it well. It's fucking. Whatever, it's Sega. They just can't fucking do so many things. They're just not. They need Tom Kalinske. They need to get Tom Kalinske in there. He's not fucking. Although I think Tom, it's in 1990. Is he? I can't believe I didn't check that.
I mean, it's not translating now, but like when I think about it,
eventually it does. Yes.
As I think about like how we've progressed through this, we've seen these advertisements kind of build up now. Like it started with just like a couple sports games and just like this person's title. Then we're seeing, you know, this game, and now we're seeing a bunch of all the sports titles, and now we're seeing all these others. So it's kind of like I could see how, from Sega's standpoint, how they would like the audience and the market to see them. Kind of like we have all these great like licensed titles coming out. Now we have all these, you know, just our own like library of games coming out. You know what I mean? Kind of like just seeing the full library come out and. It didn't really land, at least not yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I see it. I recognize the pattern. And I could, if I was living life through the eyes of like myself right now, I could see like, okay, Genesis could be like a really big thing. Like they're poised for success the way they're going, you know?
They're working hard. They're working hard. They're chipping away at it real hard. So, yes, in this there's a whole shit ton of games here, and we've seen some of them already, but there are plenty of new 1990 release shit to chat about. And the first one is New Vision bringing us Bimini Run, the image behind me right now. They describe this as a unique, action-packed, high-seas adventure where strange sea creatures tax your skills. And the title art is glorious. Glorious, glorious.
Dude.
It's a speedboat versus a chopper. Jay, you might as well drop us one of those.
Get to the chopper!
And they're shooting out. They're in a shootout on the open ocean, which is just that's so 80s.
Dude, the graphics are unique, like retro-looking paper kind of look. You know what I mean? Like it looks different, and I'm with it.
Jay, this is not a good game, but it has a ton of charm. That's how I would describe this game. You know, the game starts and these dudes in Speedos run out and hop in the speedboat. You know, at the stage start, and it looks all right. The waves and boat mechanics and shit feel pretty decent. I think your perspective is behind the boat, so you're like moving away from the POV, and the waves are, you know, coming towards you the whole time, and like, you know, all that feels pretty good, I think, for a 16-bit system. And there's a map to help you find, like, you get these missions that you got to go out and do, and there's a map to help you figure that all out and try to give it a little bit of story and stuff. But it's not a good game.
I kept trying over and over again. You know what I mean? The game had me continuing to try at it. You know, yeah, it was a decent boat chase kind of game, but
which is even that's just so unique of an idea. Yeah. You know, you're just not seeing that.
Something different. Like, I appreciate that.
There was a Cobra Triangle was like an NES game that was a boat, not a I guess kind of a shooter. You know, it was not a racing game. It was like you were going through dealing with enemies and stuff, but with a boat, and like just that. I kind of liked that game, not enough to talk game up, I don't think. We might even try to, I might even nominate it a time or two, but not enough to actually get to it because there just wasn't enough there. But the idea was unique enough that I was intrigued, at least, you know, which in this vast sea of video games of this time, so many of which were shitty, even that is its own little accomplishment, I think. We get Crossfire from this is a tough one. Cayugo is the developer, and it's actually Super Airwolf, a vertical chopper shooter, but it won't be out till 91. So they were calling it Crossfire at this time. Ended up being released under the title Super Airwolf, but is not out yet.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, and then NTV Corporation's Curse hit Christmas of '89. There's just the fucking company name sucks. The game name sucks. And they describe this as an intense shooter as you fly and attack craft through alien hazards to reach the ultimate goal, the quest of the Solar Grail. And that's the company in the mag, but all the internet recounts cite a company called Micronet actually releasing this. Whatever the case, it's dog shit. It's a side-scrolling sci-fi shmup, and it's just absolute trash. Did you try this one?
No, wait, hold on. You passed up Crossfire, so you did not play Crossfire as is?
No, it's not out till 91, so I skipped over it.
Dude, it was terrible.
Is it terrible? Okay. I'm extra. That's why I do this. Well, that's why I pace myself on these and don't do the ones that are out yet, Jay, because if you just hit everything, it can be a little overwhelming.
Well, honestly, it's funny that you found that, because when I just searched for Crossfire, I found Crossfire for Genesis, not under Airwolf, like the title Crossfire. So I said, okay.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I downloaded it and played it. But like, maybe, I don't know what was going on, but like, in the text, one of the people said, who sent me off on my journey, hope you make a success. And I was like, okay.
That's it.
This is what we're in for. But like, it's more like a Xevious, like flying vertical scrolling shooter. You know,
vertically scrolling. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
So at least they try to. Well, you know what? It's funny. Why is that? Chopper shooters are always vertical. Yeah. Why is that?
Except for like Choplifter. Choplifter's unique because otherwise you don't have like.
But that wasn't a shoot. That was the thing though. They had a cool mechanic in that where you had to save the people. You know, so it was like that's why they did that.
Because it's cooler to see maybe cooler to see the blade spin over top, you know what I mean? And see like weapons spread than like sideways. It looks less cool.
Yeah, there's no way to know, of course. That is such a good fucking guess or hypothesis that just, you know, and they sit down in that first meeting, they're like, well, the spiders just look cooler, man. He's a chopper, you know?
like it's just spinning, like, oh, yeah.
That is such a good guess, you know? It could have easily been that simple of a thing every time, too.
So many more times than we think. It's often things like that.
Yeah.
The simplest explanation.
Yeah, super fun. Kaneko has one DJ Boy for us, and they describe this as a roller skate to action and win the ultimate street fighting challenge. And that sounds compelling. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, and it is absolutely on roller skates. And I think it's kind of fun. Which I did not expect it to be fun at all, and it is actually kind of fun.
I'm shocked to hear you say that, but I agree. I died at the boss and had to start over, so I was pissed I had to start over. But like, give me some continues and I'll keep playing. Like, it felt like an arcade game to me. You know?
Yeah. It's just whatever. It's a sprite, but it's, you know, there's Skate from Streets of Rage 2 is what I thought of the whole time, you know? And yeah, it's very much that kind of feel as far as the controls for your characters. Yeah, it looks all right. The music ain't so bad. Like, the fight on roller skates surprisingly feels pretty solid. You can't jump, which...
You can jump.
Can you? I wasn't able to jump.
Absolutely can jump.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know why the fuck that.
Maybe your button was messed up or something. Yeah, you can definitely jump.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was funny to me because like I played it that way and like I didn't have a problem with it. I was like, it felt a little weird for a beat 'em up, but it kind of made sense to me that he's in roller skates and jumping in roller skates is not easy. So, you know, okay.
Reset and try again.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I kind of liked it even without that, so that's good to hear.
Nice.
Yeah, the hero and the enemy sprites are really well done, I think. Kind of like charming feel to them, kind of like a little cartoony, but still realistic-y, you know, it was a surprisingly well done game. For one, I'd never even think DJ Boy sounds like the most generic thing ever.
Right. You know? I almost skipped this game just off the name.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, let me just play it.
Nope. Be a good little podcaster. Tooplin brings us a seismic released game that is a chip off the old block with another sci-fi flying shmup, Hellfire, and shoot or die in this horizontal scrolling shooting game. And they're not even trying to hide with that description. It just is what it is. Like we're not bullshitting you at all. That's what it is. But god damn it. I mean, it's seismic, so you shouldn't be terribly surprised. They do this thing. That's what I mean by chip off the old block. This is their jam, you know. But it's fucking great, man. It was like, so instead of mindless shooting, you can hit the B button to cycle through 4 different modes of shooting. So it can shoot straight ahead, it can shoot straight behind, it can shoot straight up and down like at once combined, and then it can do all 4 45-degree angles. So like to the 4 corners of a square basically. And you got to like, you know, the enemy placement in the level designs are of course challenging you to diagnose which of those is best to deploy in a given moment and then execute the plan, you know? So, yeah, I'm just, you know, I've never seen before. Super unique idea. And they even I even appreciated the fact that the pacing for the first stage is a little plodding, you know? It's kind of slow and fucking whatever, but this is just to give you like a chance to figure this all out and get your feet under you before the shit really gets fucking thick, you know? And I thought that was a good choice, game design-wise, so... Yeah, man. Like, the music, also fucking fantastic here. The whole soundtrack is just pure Genesis fire. I added this to the shit worth playing list also, like, because it absolutely is. So that's 2 side-scrolling shmups that I have added to the fucking shit worth playing list because
wow,
of this shit. Yeah, which is unprecedented development.
Woo! Mark this day down in history, y'all.
So I presume you dug this one as well, yeah?
I mean, the easy changing of the directional weapon was interesting here. But I think I had too much coffee because I kept messing it up and kept switching to the wrong weapon. I was like, why do I keep... Because at first I was enjoying it. And then I think when things started getting a little hairy and I kept messing up which weapon I needed to change to, and I was getting annoyed, daggone it, okay, I need to just
But the fact that you were doing it enough to get annoyed means you care. Yeah. So that's its own statement.
Of course, man. It's a flying shooter.
Yeah, it's its own proof of concept. Yeah, no, yeah. This, never heard of it. Fucking great. Really fucking good.
Well, I'm interested to see what you think about these next ones. So,
okay. Let's keep going. Yes, Activision is next with a mouthful of a title, Mondu's Fight Palace. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in a video game, I think, dude. This game, so they describe it as role-playing fun, hit music, and great sound effects for 1 or 2 players. Outrageous! And this would actually be released by a company called Razorsoft under the title Slaughter Sport. And
dude, no wonder I couldn't find it. I'm like, I couldn't find this title anywhere.
Okay, so yeah, it was called Tongue of the Fat Man for whatever it was released on originally, which is a crazy name also. Slaughter Sport. I think Slaughter Sport is more generic. I understand why they called it Slaughter Sport, because that's a better description of what the game is. So I understand the choice from a marketing perspective, but I think it was a bad choice just from a fun perspective. But yeah, so I thought that was all weird to me until I watched the opening cinematic upon firing it up. And between the Sega logo and the title screen, this very, very, very heavy-set dude with a mohawk walks out and stops in the middle of what I guess is kind of like a battle arena. It looks very Mortal Kombat-ish as far as the battle arena goes. And his torso has a face not unlike the one on the front of his head. So there's kind of a similarity to it. His nipples are his eyes on the body face, and there's a huge mouth in the crevice between his second and third torso roll with a big red tongue hanging out of it. And the dude flexes his biceps and smiles as that belly mouth says, "Welcome to the Fight Palace." And then he walks off screen left, dude. And then, so that happens to start the game. And then the title screen where you can pick 1 or 2 player head-to-head before cutting... Or you can do that before cutting to some artwork of this dude, the same guy from the earlier cinematic. Like, he's kind of in this, throne room deal with these Jabba the Hutt vibes. He's, sitting in a throne, and then he's surrounded by a couple bodacious, exotic mutant babes, and there's a speech bubble that says, "I am Mondu, the fat lord of the fight palaces. Remember, only in victory will you gain the key to the soul of each fighter. Prepare to fight." And then, dude, a straight-up Mortal Kombat arena fighter starts, and I can't believe I've never heard of it. I just can't believe this was totally unknown to me. There's no character select, so you're railroaded into being this. I would call him a Kumite fighter. He's like this Asian-looking kind of Thai dude, straight out of Bloodsport, the Van Damme movie, which is where I'm guessing this whole thing was ripped from. It has Bloodsport vibes through and through, and the first battle is against a blue-skinned dude that absolutely dusted my ass off and left me in a pool of my own blood. So it's a very, very bloody game. I didn't have to even put in any ABBA, CABB codes or any shit like that. There's fucking blood everywhere in this game. And yeah, I mean, well, actually, before I even get to that, dude, I had to confirm that before the code. It's been a while since I had to put in the Mortal Kombat code, so I went and confirmed that. And I found a whole tangent on this game, or on that code, that I did not know about. Did you know this, dude? So that Mortal Kombat code is a nod to an album from Phil Collins or from Genesis, his band before he went solo, called Abacab. Yes, I am floored. I was floored to read this, dude. Like, not that it happened, that doesn't surprise me at all, but that I made all this time not knowing it. Like, Mortal Kombat. There's a number of games that were, Genesis was a big part of my life, but I feel like Mortal Kombat might have been the most defining thing about it. Like, it was such a thing. Mortal Kombat was such a thing. The blood shit between the SNES and the Genesis was such a thing. The blood code was such a thing. It was just so much about it. It just was such a permeation. It's arcade prominence, even though I didn't really have any exposure to it or opportunity to play it. Just like something about Mortal Kombat was just beyond huge. Michael Jackson huge. So it's such a big thing, and like the idea that something that integral to it could have been part of its story and me not knowing till now really fucking blew my mind, I thought. But whatever the case, didn't have to put that in to get the blood in the game. And then I got absolutely fucking mopped up by that dude. And then it cuts back to the fat man in his throne screen doing some shit talking. He says, "What a terrible match. You probably won't survive the next one." And then it just goes back to the same fight again. So like, beyond interesting presentation. Like the visuals all looked great. The story shit was crazy as fuck. Absolutely out there. One of the wilder things I've ever seen in a video game, particularly on the Genesis. Just crazy, 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 crazy. But the controls are fucking terrible. I mean, it might be better with familiarity, but like the controls were like, so fucked up, weird, fucking choppy and like stilted movement range and stuff. Like, so it's like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm sorry for how disjointed this explanation is, but like, it's just such a jarring fucking game. like it's so very weird in all its presentation, and then the game itself sucks. But I wanted to know more and see where it went because of how fucking weird it was. So yeah, it was just a really fucking weird thing to just stumble into, and I cannot believe that. It's the kind of game that is so fucking wacky that I'm surprised it didn't have. That it's not all memed up or something now. It's just so fucking weird that I'm surprised that it's not like a angry video game nerd classic or something. You know what I mean? Like it has that feel to it as far as
it's so weird looking. It's so weird looking. But it makes kind of sense why it'd be forgotten though, because it is pre-Mortal Kombat, pre-Street Fighter 2, when fighters, you know what I mean? Any attempt at a fighter before then is kind of just fodder, forgotten.
Yep. So. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It does make sense in that regard, but yeah. I mean, one could also...
Especially with terrible controls. I mean,
it feels so much like Mortal Kombat in the aesthetic and like even the battle arenas. And really kind of even think about, the fucking dude is not unlike Goro in the way,
he's so unlikable. I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's a slob. Goro and Shang Tsung or whatever his name is are also unlikable, I think. But they're evil. They're like the evil whatever. But there's this, I feel like there's some building blocks in here for Mortal Kombat, basically, is what I'm getting at here. And I think that maybe is notable, at least, even if they didn't get it right here. I think there's some formative elements to this that would lead to Mortal Kombat, and there's enough of a time gap between this release, which I'm sure was an arcade game too, I would guess. I don't think I checked that, but I would guess it was, and Mortal Kombat coming out, that it could easily been an influence on development, you know what I mean? So it's very interesting. Yeah. Not good, but very interesting. So after that, so you said you didn't even find it.
No, I didn't even find it. I didn't know that it was, like I said, I looked it up, couldn't find it. I was like, all right, well, whatever. Never heard of it.
Yeah, maybe it didn't even happen.
Weird name. Yeah.
maybe it's a fucking fictitious blip on the fucking timeline. Next one is Namco's Philios, a Greek mythology-themed vertically scrolling flying shmup, and they describe this. Apollo challenges enemies to rescue Artemis in this arcade classic with vivid graphics and animation. And I'm not sure I've ever planted this flag here on the pod, but generally speaking, Greek mythology bores the shit out of me. When I see this in a game, my mind kind of automatically turns off in a lot of ways, or in a lot of instances. And it can translate to some cool medieval fantasy stuff, which I like, But when they start talking about that gods, fucking Apollo and Zeus and shit, I don't know what it is, man. My synapses just fucking glaze over. I cannot fucking...
So you never played Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
No.
So good. Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Nope.
But, did you play this game then?
Yes, yeah. I fired it up, disappointment inevitable, and god damn it, a fucking it's also good.
Freaking great, man.
Yeah, it's also good.
Yes, I'm adding this to the list, man.
Yeah,
I'm adding this to the list.
Okay, I didn't put it on the list, I don't think, but I
absolutely
understand why one would. Yeah, it's not one-hit death bullshit. You have a few HP units. Applaud that. You can charge your attack for a powered up one.
Yes, which I didn't even know until halfway through the first level. I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, so you're encouraged to make and again, this is what I loved about the last one. That what was it? Not Whip Rush.
Hellfire.
What was it? Hellfire, yeah. Like, I love when they do something to change up this is not just hitting a button over and over again. But yeah, you're encouraged to make real-time strategy decisions about whether you want to trade attack frequency for attack power. You know what I mean? Yep. And that's awesome. And then, yeah, I was immediately stacking cool and varied power-ups for the dude, which is cool and required for a good shmup, I think. The parallax scrolling backgrounds down below your sprite are gorgeous, because you're a flying dude, so you're up above the clouds, but you can see what's down below, and it's all scrolling parallax, so it looks fucking great. The enemies were cool and varied. The hitboxes, controls, all good.
Lots of personality, man, for this game. Lots of personality and just vivid imagery. I was like, whoa, this is the first game that I played from this. I was like, hell yeah, man. Let's play some more. Let's go.
Yeah. Your dude... You're talking about just charm and stuff, personality. Your dude Apollo is riding a Pegasus in it. He's not flying with wings or anything. He's riding this horse with wings. So when you die, it's got I presume you died and you saw this too. But yeah, it's got a really cool death animation of him falling off the horse to his death down below, and it's got the the appropriate accompanying sound cue and stuff. It's just it's really ton of game app quality shit in here, I think. Yeah, so I was very, very surprised with this one.
Yeah, it's a feeling you elicit when you actually get hit and get knocked off it's like, that feeling. Yes.
Yep. Yep. Super Volleyball from Video System, released by Sega of America, comes after that. And total volleyball action that puts you in the game. Go for the spike. This is tournament play at its best. And I don't know, man. I just can't get up for a volleyball game. I don't know, like with the one exception of Super Spike V-Ball and NES. I like that one a lot. But this is 100% from the side angle on play 2, which I think is just does not, you have no depth to the court basically. So that is a really lame choice for a volleyball game, I think. You have like your people at the net, you got your person back where the serving area would be, and then I think maybe another one between them, and it's just, it just felt so.
It's a pass.
Yeah. Maybe if you're a devout volleyball enthusiast, I don't know. I'm not one of those, but perhaps if you are, this will do it for you. But did not do it for me. Next, we have Gray Matter developed, Razor Soft released, Technocop, and this is the same company as the Fat Man game. So I was ready for this to be fucking out there. And the description is, you're a cop, detective, and road warrior of the future. Your mission is to rid society of radical gangs of punks and thugs. Arm yourself and aim straight. Based on the description and what we know about Slaughter Sport, I think it's safe to say the chief decision maker of Razor Soft had a very, very serious coke problem, and I hope he found peace in his life, man. Like this, further solidified when you fire this game up and the Razor Soft company logo comes up at the top of this game, and it's first of all, it's long and drawn out. It's like very egotistical, which again, coke problem, and like it's in a pink neon, like a bar light. It looks like a fucking bar light, spinning at us in outer space. It's just, I don't know, just straight out of a dingy dive bar. And again, just like coke. Everything about it is just coke fucking culture, It just and the game too. Right in line with that is absolutely fucking bonkers. The title screen comes up. Yeah, the title screen comes up, and it's like Scorsese movie poster vibes, dude. It's like a dimly lit dude, like really hard shadows. He's got a gun drawn in front of a night city skyline. They drop a voice sample in here with the like really funky title music. Technocop busted, Dude, like it's just I could just see them all, just like in a boardroom, like fucking making these decisions, just coke everywhere. Unreal. So I hit start. I guess all this stuff's set up, right? And like you have a certain idea in your mind of what this might be when you start the game. You hit start, and a perspective driving game comes up, a la Rad Racer or Outrun, but like much closer to NES quality graphics than Outrun, I would say. So like a shitty driver. Yeah, right. I had to do a fucking double take. I was like, what the fuck is this?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Am I running over the motorcyclist? Am I supposed to shoot them? Like,
yeah. So yeah, you start going, and like all it amounts to is like a really poorly designed runaround while you wait for a crime assignment from like the cop dispatch or whatever. So you're just driving around. It doesn't give you any like goal or purpose. There's no like map that shows, oh, you're driving to here or anything, right? So you like, and your car has a mounted machine gun that didn't even seem to affect the motorcyclists or cars. Did you get the gun to like hit anything?
Oh yeah, I definitely ended up shooting cars eventually. You have to be kind of like get the right distance behind them to shoot them. I figured it out, but after a while it was kind of like,
see, I didn't.
Why am I shooting these? It wasn't until after the second kind of instance that I was like,
oh, I'm so proud of you.
I have a
I'm
goal,
so proud of you that you got that far. Holy fuck. So so I didn't shoot shit. I'm just like swerving around things until again, like there's no indicator. It's not even like, if you're waiting for this dispatch thing, there should be like a radio visual or something that's like suggests that you're waiting for something, like scanning or something. You know what I mean? Like something that just like informs you that you're waiting for something. There's nothing to suggest that you're waiting for some stimuli. You're just like, I'm just like, what am I fucking doing here? And it went on like that for way too long, like way too long. So you get the call. And you don't make the choice. You get the call, and my dude just automatically hits the brakes and jerks the wheel to send the car careening off into the grass field next to the road. And he gets out of the car, and it goes from that, and like you're not at a destination. There's nothing there. You can't see any like building, or you're not in a city now.
This looks like you're pulling off the road.
Yeah,
off the side of the road.
Right. So it goes from that and then cuts to a side-scrolling action sequence where your cop dude is traversing what is clearly a crack house full of Mohawk dudes and typical urban thug archetypes from the time. You know, this renegade dudes.
Punk rocks.
Punk
rockers.
Yeah, there's like, fucking graffiti on the walls. There's like shit debris and stuff all over the place. They're just like popping out of rooms, like on tweak mode, whatever. So you can shoot these dudes, and they are just absolutely obliterated after taking a single shot. Like, dude, you hit them with one bullet, and they just fucking explode.
What is this game? The gore, like the blood just everywhere. I was like, whoa! I was shocked.
Yeah, they explode into it, then they like hit the ground in this like pile of blood and bones.
Yeah,
it's so hyper. It
was honestly shocking. Like, not like I care about gore. I play gory games.
Right, exactly.
But like, for what I was playing, I was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Literally like, whoa.
A lot. Yeah, this was a lot, dude. Yeah, and like, it sucks that you weren't able to find Technosoft, or not Technosoft, Jesus. The Fat Man game, yeah. Because it's like, it was just so in line with it. Because like, I don't think I mentioned it, but when you get fucking knocked out in that game, you go to the ground, and you're just in like a puddle of blood, dude. Like, the dude is just fucked up, and like the idea that he's getting up from that and fighting again is insane. Like, so it's just so over the top, and again, coke problem. So yeah, it's just very much in line. There's so much correlation between these two games, and
at least they do give you the option to like use a net. So if you wanted to avoid the splattery,
yeah, that's
we'll get so weird.
Yeah, we'll get to. They have a 2-banger later. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but like it supports the thing. But yeah, like why? If you can like, I think it says it in the game that you can bring them in dead or alive, and I'm sure it's in the manual, which I of course didn't read. But like, so yeah, you have a net as an option, but why would you deal with that? I don't know. It just doesn't make any, there's just no incentive to do that, I don't think. But I guess again, I died. I ran out of lives in that house. So you beat the crack house and got out to the second thing?
Yeah, like I went through it all. And then it was like, oh, sorry, so-and-so got away. Head back out. So I just went back out on the street. And
do you have to go all the way through? You have to go all the way back out manually?
Yeah, I had to go all the way back through. And then I'm driving again. But then it's like immediately, it tells you like, 17 kilometers until you get to the spot where where the person is again.
Supposed to be.
So then I knew all right, maybe I don't.
So you're
need to
definitely.
I just need to drive fast and get there.
You're definitely. Well, I guess we don't know that either. But do you feel like there's any chance you could have actually caught him in that first crack house?
I don't know, because I guess maybe, but still don't know who they.
You
are.
have like
I gotta see where
you have like a boss battle kind of thing at the end, don't you? Or did I just die? I can't remember.
I don't remember having a boss.
That's not a good sign. To not be sure is not a good sign.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't remember. I know I shot a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And that part is super clunky too. It doesn't feel at all good. It doesn't even neither game modes look like they're on a Genesis. They do not look good enough. Like the title screen art is far and away. I mean, that's true for a lot of games, so maybe that's a bad way to express that, but the game does not look good. Neither game mode looks good, the driving or the side-scrolling action stuff.
I don't know, man. Plus, I don't know, maybe I've just gotten older in my sensibilities. Like, I don't care if I'm a Technocop. Like, I don't know, there's just something weird about I'm just driving and I'm just going and I'm exploding the criminals every time they come this way. Yeah, man. I don't know.
Yeah, even if I'm a Technocop. Yeah. It did not feel good, but want to know more? I want to interview. I gotta do an Order of Erdrick interview episode with the fucking guy who runs that company and was making the decisions over there. There's no way he's still alive. He definitely died in a pool of his own vomit in the mid to late 90s for sure. There's no way that guy's alive.
Oh man.
Last new business here is a Konami-developed Micronet-released puzzler called Junction. An action puzzle game. You must control blocks in order to pass to designated points. But be careful to avoid deadly enemies as you proceed. And woo, is that a bad marketing blurb. It's so fucking boring. So I was hoping the game did a better job of engagement. And yeah, man, this is a really fucking good puzzle game and a completely unique mechanic I'd never seen before. Did you fuck with it?
I did not. I actually somehow skipped over this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a large board made of slide puzzle tiles. So, like the thing in Final Fantasy, but it's at isometric, like kind of a little bit of an angle, and the tiles, instead of a picture, they have different types of grooves cut in them. So it's like straight lines, curved lines, intersections, etc. And there's a ball that starts rolling slowly along in the groove on one tile in the upper left corner, and there's one open tile on the board up ahead of the track that it's on. So if it falls in that hole, life lost, try again. That's the game loop, right? The game cycle. And so you have to slide pieces around the board to make a track for the ball to roll along to the destination.
Okay.
And so, I couldn't exactly figure out what that was at first. I eventually did. So again, read the manual, all that goes away. But there's a bunch of little things here to add variance and such. There's like little oh shit track tiles that go off the side of the board and disappear after using them. So they're kind of like, not unlike in Zoom, how there's the tiles you can't see that you can jump to get away from the enemies for a second if you want. It's kind of like that vibe to them, like I said, oh shit tiles. And you're able to manipulate the speed of the ball if you want. So if you have it all set up and you want to just burn through, because it's timed too, so you get more points, of course, the faster you do it. So you're incentivized to do it quickly. So you can speed the ball up to make it go faster. You can slow it back down if you hit a point where you need to move shit around, And I'm sure later stages have, more complicating things about them. But really great background art that also very zoomy, like kind of that really colorful, silhouetted fucking things in the background, like naturescapes and shit. And they have a very, very cute opening title sequence, also not unlike Zoom. Like, I can't believe it's not the same developer, to be honest with you. But, Micronet. Konami developed, though. So
this is Konami, yeah.
Yeah, so either way, it's a opening sequence where you are emoted to this cute little armadillo that turns into the ball. So, the ball has meaning to you, which is smart game design. And he turns into this ball and then he hops in a hole and you start the game, So pretty fucking cute. And yeah, I had no idea that Genesis was such a banger parade for puzzlers. Absolutely add this to the shit worth playing list. This is a perfect puzzler time kill game for sure.
What's the goal? Like, I just watched a video of somebody doing the first level, and I don't understand like how you know what the goal is. You just
That's why I said I couldn't discern it at first, and like I just got to the bottom right corner, and the first stage ended. So yeah, they did. That's definitely maybe a flaw, and I don't know if that changes. I just started the second board and didn't even get it because it is a little bit of a slow plotting thing. So again, getting through all these games, like this is a fucking packed issue. So I did not hang with this one as long as maybe I would have liked to, which is why I added to the list. But yeah, it does not notate the end goal well enough at all, so you need to play the game and know what you're looking at, I guess. And maybe honestly, I think I started in the top left corner of that second stage too, so it might just be get to the bottom right every time. I have no idea, but that's certainly maybe a little bit of a knock, but again, once you know what you're doing, that goes away. So but very fun, very cool, and very unique. Like I've never seen that kind of puzzler before. A two-banger on our last Game Up alum, Strider, comes at us in a full balls-to-the-wall fashion next, and they start with Arcade Action Hits Home. Look out! Strider hang glides straight from the arcade to your Genesis system. And they give us that same starburst on the box cover, 8 mega memory. And nearly the entire first page's worth of copy is devoted to explaining how technically impressive it was to fit a 32 megabyte arcade game into an 8 megabyte cart that looks so great. And I suppose they are right to be proud of that, in fairness. But again, it's the kind of thing that, like, yes, maybe older players are into, but like the kids reading this mag had to just be like,
I mean, the only thing that I'm sitting here thinking about this, like, in what way would this have kind of reached me as a kid? And I'm like, I loved arcades. I absolutely loved going to the arcades. And every time we traveled as a kid, like let me go to, is there an arcade nearby, Mom and Dad? Yes. Awesome. Is there an arcade in the hotel? Awesome. So like, I could see reading this and thinking, like, despite the technical aspects of the mega memory or whatever, thinking like, wait a minute. So if they're saying they actually can take like the actual arcade graphics, gameplay, all that stuff and put it exactly here, then I'm like, if that's what you're saying, okay, then that okay. Then
and you know what? I wrote these notes. I went through this magazine before I got that main version. I guess really it's worth saying how I already highlighted or re-highlighting what I already highlighted and saying that, like, holy fuck, did they nail this or nail that game as far as the port of it. So yeah, very absolutely
like
true.
That I see. Like, yeah, because it's clear. Like, even I love my Nintendo. The arcade is still the arcade. It's still better.
Yep. So they say in here that Sega is quoting a 50 to 75 hour expected playtime on this game, and for
50 to 75 hours.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, right? So it's 5 pretty short levels. And I just think that is just a fucking insane statement to make in a public forum. Like, it's hard as fuck. Absolutely hard as fuck. Okay. So maybe if you're just beating your head against the wall for 49 to 74 of those hours, sure. But it is crazy to say even the low side of that 50 hours. Like, I did a podcast note-taking thing of the game.
I did not spend that much time.
Yeah. If I would have, we just would have skipped the episode.
Right?
Yeah, it's just fucking wild. Or certainly wouldn't have gotten it done in 2 weeks or however long it took us. 3 weeks, however long between those episodes. So yeah, that's a fucking crazy statement. And that's also foreshadowing for a later statement they're going to make in the same vein that is even fucking crazier. So that was very important to highlight that. Little sidebar, one of these screenshots is of the Amazon level, and it's captioned as, "The Amazon women in the rainforest throw axes and boomerangs. Listen for their war chant." And that is as if you can fucking miss it as incessantly as you hear it in that part of the level. It was like just constant. So I thought that was a crazy little piece of copy to cook up, like fucking, like you need to listen to it, or listen for it, rather.
They have not played the game.
Yeah, I guess. The Game Doctor is next, and this is kind of wild. There's never been anything like this in a Nintendo Power or Game Pro. These are just questions about hardware, like compatibility, release myths, etc. And like Nintendo Power has a mailbox and game questions thing, but an entirely dedicated hardware queue feature is like a really interesting choice to me. I think they had this in the first one, and I think it was similarly I think it was the same deal, but just I don't know, that really jumped out to me this time how unique of an idea that is.
Yeah, I'm like, this is all like clearly all curated about like their upcoming releases and what they're working on.
Sure,
and it was It's fascinating. I mean, I'm like, I can't believe that they shared like about the Sega CD. Like, yes, we are working on that. Yeah, like, yes, we are working on that too. It's kind of like interesting strategy, Pat. And let's see how it plays out.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's it. But I think that totally like they don't do that now because information already moves so fast. But back then, first of all, there's some lag time between when this information is going out and when it's being consumed, so there's a little bit of time lapse there. And also, I think, Sega's playing catch up here. So they're like trying to tease you as much as they possibly can.
That's what I was wondering. I wanted to I didn't want to spend the time to look up but I kind of wanted to look up every little thing that they talked about. Like, when was this released? Like, what was the earliest mention of this? Like, are they playing catch up or are they like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or are they just like putting a lot of stuff out there under the guise of commonly asked questions just to let you know, look at all this shit we got coming, folks. Like, check it out. You know?
Yeah. I think probably the latter. So the last one in the first column is asking whether the modem they're selling in Japan will be coming stateside. And
dude, what?
The doc reiterates what I believe he said in the first installment of this issue. This was also in that first issue, and he talked about this, that it's only really used for home banking in Japan. Mm-hmm. And I just cannot believe that people were doing their banking tasks via Mega Drive over there. That is so nuts.
No chance. Yeah, like, come on now. Like, what do you mean?
So nuts. So nuts.
Who's home banking in 1990 in Japan with a modem?
With a fucking Genesis. The fuck the modem part
right?
of it.
Like,
that's fucking crazy. How did they... What?
Dude, having a modem. Like, I had a modem in 1990 because my brother worked at freaking CompuServe and like all these like computer, because he worked in computer tech. So I was kind of like, whoa, like nobody else I knew had the computers and stuff that I had, at least at this exact time
in 1990. I definitely didn't. I didn't get the hand-me-down from my uncle of that IBM PS1 until it was at least a couple more years. Yeah, 8th grade, 9th grade, something like that. So like somewhere
That's
between.
What I'm saying. This
somewhere
is
between
so
93 and
early,
95. Man. I don't even know if he had it yet, but that had a 2400 baud modem in it that I was like playing around on BBSs and stuff. So yeah, if I did have it yet, it was very new. But so yeah, that component is wild too for sure. But again, I just think the trust factor you would have had to instill in users to get them to fuck with their money on a Genesis. Because, like, I don't know. I guess the culture over there for video games was a little more, I'm sure adults were, I'm not sure, but maybe I'm guessing that adults were a little more into video gaming on the whole than the U.S. at the time. And that is why they would have been a little more accepting of it. That probably is it. That is 100% it. Because just parents weren't fucking around with these, And like I'm thinking of it from that perspective of comfort and familiarity with game systems that just did not exist here. And maybe that was already there for them, and it was less of a steep incline to get to, how about doing some banking on this also?
On our next episode, the rise of mobile banking habits in Japan in 1990.
I would love to know more about that for sure.
Deep dive.
That is compelling as fuck of a topic to me. The Genesis Does What Nintendo 3-banger makes its appearance next, featuring Sword of Vermilion, and we've touched on this fantasy RPG before. Wanted to like it, but just couldn't get into it, and without some nostalgia for that kind of RPG of this era, it's really hard to make the leap to devoting the time necessary to give it a fair shake, It
looks really good, man. It looks really good. I wanna have the time to play it. I really did. I was like, man, this is taking a lot of time. Like, I can't.
It's a little, again, having some familiarity with Phantasy Star 1 and then the SMS, and then having dabbled with the Phantasy Stars, and then other, having Genesis and playing, Warriors of the Eternal Sun. So, I know I have I'm RPG literate on the Genesis to begin with, so I have some level, I think, of understanding of what I'm looking at as soon as I see it, and it's a little basic kind of. There's just not enough there. It felt kind of.
It looks very much like Final Fantasy 1, like menu, or like Dragon Warrior, like we're playing menu. I'm like, this looks like the exact same, only with better graphics.
Yeah, style for sure, but like the world felt a little empty to me, I guess. So
I can see that.
Yeah. But the main thing I want to bring up from here is, yes, continuing on from that 50 to 75 hour Strider quote, they quote, this is a 300-hour game. Like, get a fucking grip. Like, I don't know. It's insane. That's insane. Like, Skyrim. Like, there's no modern game that even comes close to that. Like, even a third of that, 100 hours is kind of like, I'm just hanging out in Skyrim. I beat the game 50 hours ago, you know? Like,
well, I would say modern games, yes. Like, I spent 100 hours in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and there's still some more DLC, and there's still more, like, some side quests I can do. You know what I mean? So I could see that. But 300 hours, the funny thing is I saw that quote and I was kind of like, an RPG, you can definitely get lost.
right.
But that's a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
That is a lot of time. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. There's
Like, are you, like, is the grind real? Like, did they overestimate? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, no, it's get a fucking grip. There's just no way. Even with the stupidest kid without a single bit of strategy guide help, not getting to 300 hours. No way. Just no way. It's fucking crazy.
Like 100-page, like, map kind of, like, that scares me. Like, no, because if it really is 300 hours, you're telling me you created this epically long thing. Like, I don't know if I want to commit to that. That's so much. That's too much in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, too big of a statement, yeah. Wild. Fucking wild. The library page here is the same one in the last Game Pro, so we've discussed and played all the games there that are out, except Sega developed and published Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2 doesn't exist on the Genesis, and I'm fairly certain that's a screenshot of just Ghostbusters, so this is a typo, so we can gloss right over that.
I was wondering what is happening here.
Yeah, we have talked about that. But Mickey Mouse hits in November, and that makes it fair game now, which it was not when we saw it in Game Pro, so let's party. There is solid pixel art and a Disney-rific opening cinematic sequence setting up the inevitable abduction of Minnie from right out under Mickey's nose, and it's that witch Mizrabel, adversary of his in this case. I don't have the Mickey Mouse, has never really been my jam. I'm sure I watched plenty of Mickey Mouse shit as a kid, but I don't know the names and stuff, so that was a little bit of a refresher for me, but it's the witch adversary, and he takes her to a castle she takes her to a castle that looks like the Crystal one in Conan the Destroyer, or maybe Barbarian, I'm not sure, but it's just that one that falls into the ocean after they break all the mirrors, you know, it looked just like that to me. So that was a cool little callback, I thought, if that's what it was, I don't know. But this, I mean, looks, feels, plays great. Music was a little basic bitch for my taste, but that's probably intentional, being Disney, but it's certainly not bad. And this game is very highly thought of. I was pretty sure going into it, so I, was not surprised to find all these things. But I have never spent any time with it, really. Is this one you've ever dealt with?
Oh yeah, I definitely have fond memories.
I was gonna say you're a little more Disney predisposed, I think, than me
yeah.
As a kid. So even outside of not having the Genesis, I would have thought maybe you fucked with it a little. Yeah, but I assume you played it for this too. Just tried it.
I did not play it for this because of that. Yeah.
Oh really? Okay, so yeah,
I already know. Like this is is a hot game. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, obviously worth Game App territory, I think. So
yeah, it goes without saying.
Yeah, pretty like.
And it's funny because I don't know when I played it or why. Because I only had a Genesis, like we rented a Genesis a couple times, and I think that may have been the situation in which I played this. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I played the hell out of this game.
That's crazy to me, dude. That must have been such a treat.
Oh man, it was either that or like at my cousin's house, because my cousins definitely had a Genesis, and so it might have been like one of those situations. Because I definitely played this.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Feels great. Looks great. It's just really, clearly a lot of tender loving care in this one, no doubt. That is the Philios Stage 3, the Sky of Pelbolios theme. And I can't believe... Alright, I can believe it, but I felt like that was a deliberate choice to stick me with that one, knowing I would have to read it and having that crazy-ass title.
I definitely thought about having to pronounce that, and I was like,
That seems more suited for the middle of the podcast. We are heading into a gauntlet of game features now, starting with a page on Afterburner 2 and a page and a half for Game App alum Moonwalker. Afterburner is a fun for about 11 seconds game before its non-description repetitiveness starts shining through, and we've discussed that. I do like these layouts a lot, though. In the magazine itself, they're themed well and look great. It's like a professional magazine.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Sega hasn't been able to swing that to date, really, so that's worth mentioning. There is no mention of bubbles in the Moonwalker feature, though, and that is some Bush League bullshit, I think. A half page on the to-be-released on Christmas Pat Riley's Basketball shares real estate with Moonwalker, and as you'd expect from a coach-endorsed sports game, the copy here suggests they are attempting to employ a lot of strategy in the gameplay on this thing, and you're able to choose between man or zone defense, and there's also some of the cutscene head-to-head stuff where we're hitting a button to stop a cursor in a certain place on a bar that will determine the dunk and block proficiencies thing that we saw in, what was that, All-Star Basketball? Is that what that was we saw?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, some cool ideas with it. Again, it's not out yet, so we won't talk about it, but I can't remember liking it, and that makes me think there's a reason for that.
You'd be correct.
Yeah,
You'd
okay.
be correct.
Okay, fair. Ghostbusters gets a full pager next, which we've also seen and discussed, but reading this made me want to play it yet again. Like, the levels sound cool. They speak so highly of it here, and they do mention an in-game boss rush that probably sucks, but still reading it here, I wanted to give it a try and try again, man. And I don't know, it's so fucking weird. Like, it looks good, it sounds good, it controls good, but it's just somehow not that good. It's like
not
that
good.
with
Yeah.
the one fucking shooter we were talking about earlier. Like, all the parts are good. Why isn't the game good? And it's just, I don't know, it's just not. Bummer. Because obviously that IP, I want to like that IP.
Yeah,
so
you would think.
Yeah, I'm even further incentivized to predisposed to care for it and enjoy it, but I just can't. That's fucking weird. Herzog's Way gets a full page next, and this is that really bizarre military strategy joint I kind of crushed on a little bit when we first saw it, and very little is dedicated to table setting in the copy here. It's almost all just bullet points of strategy and tips for your campaign, and you cannot even kind of give this game a fair shake without sitting down and reading the manual cover to cover. And if I recall correctly, the manual is like 60 fucking pages. It's like an insane Bible of shit to parse, and get a handle on to actually play the game. So it's so complicated and dense, and probably some trial and error to get in the hang of playtime or in playtime as well. So even coming out of the manual, you're probably not going to have it, and that just. It's so tough to do that kind of game on a platform back then, on a fucking 16-bit system. It makes me sad. It's like it's the kind of game that I just wish I had seen as a kid, because I know I would have fucking loved it. But it's not fucking doesn't work.
It's
now.
not.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen now. It's such a bummer. But maybe if we did a game app, Jay, maybe we would have the appropriate amount of time to really dive into it.
I don't know, man. I get the way my schedule works, nighttime activities, and even I don't know. Let me talk to my accountant and my booking manager, and we'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, I'm fucking starting to work too. I got to go to Atlanta on the 16th for a fucking month, so probably not the best undertaking for me either. A three-banger where they continue to tout their 17 third-party developer tally titled Party Line comes after that. And it's stated this will be a monthly feature devoted to highlighting their developer pool's releases. The bulk of this covers things we saw in that developer ad earlier in the mag, but there's a few new things we have yet to chat about in here. New Vision, which is the maker of that speedboat game Bimini Run, has an announced title called Beanball Benny that sounds like a fun premise. A cartoon-style X-baseball playing taxi driver beat-em-up game. How many fucking crazy words is that?
What?
Yeah. I couldn't find any release info on this, though, and looking at the company's catalog, Bimini is their one and only title. So I'm guessing Bimini didn't do so great on the sales front.
Done.
Yeah. Tengen has hard driving come down the pipe at us in December, and this is a fully polygonal racing sim that they are bringing over from the arcade. And I own it. This is a funny game with a ton of charm, and I look forward to talking about it and fucking with it when it hits, because it's a game I think That probably
it's all over the arcades, man. Hard Drive in USA.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like,
It was, and that's the thing. Like they tried. It's a game that couldn't quite exist on home platforms well at this time, but they tried anyways. And like it's weird. Jab had it when we were kids, and it's so weird that we loved this game, and it's because it's because of the charm, because it is so bad in plotting. Like it's the antithesis, performance and feel wise that a racing game should/needs to have to work, but there's so much goofy shit in it that like kids, I think, sat around and played it anyways because you could going through. I just remember you could go through the loop because like there's 2 tracks. There's a speed course and like a obstacle course, And the obstacle course, one of the first things in it is this full. I wish I could think of the Tyco racetrack that I'm trying to think of, but there's a Tyco racetrack that I want to call it, but that's irrelevant. It's a loop, a 360 loop you have to go through, and you can go it's like you have to be going the perfect speed for it. If you're going too fast, you'll get all the way through it. If you're going too slow, you can't get up in it. But you can be going a perfect speed where you go up it, and you get to the very top of the loop, and your car just falls down and explodes. And like, I don't know how many times we sat and just tried to do that intentionally, because it's so much fucking fun and goofy. And I remember you could drive through and hit this cow that's standing outside of the barn and it moos at you. There was just so much dumb, goofy shit in it that you could, there's a truck coming that I remember you could hit, and like, it shows you the replay after you that's the thing, like whenever you crash, it shows you like a bird's eye view replay of it, so you see it happen in the game first person and through the dashboard, and like the dashboard cracks, and then it cuts to a bird's eye replay of it. So if you get hit by a truck, your car would just like get obliterated and fucking shoot off to whatever. So just really fun game world for a racing game, but the actual racing is just like slow and awful and like so polygonal and just not good. But
I hate to see it.
Goofy and fun either way. So yeah, I think it's the kind of thing we need to do just as a fucking weird analysis for Game Ep, even though it's maybe not, and it's not like those. There's kind of like Herzog's A we were just talking about. Like, it's not so. It's so bite size in concept and actual gameplay that you don't have to devote a lifetime to having that fun with it and talking about it. You know what I mean? So I think it's good Game Ep fodder. Look forward to that. Well, that's it for that section that we haven't talked about. Another new feature, Visions and Views in the News, gets 1 page now, and this is their pro news report, kind of. And it's just various Sega-related news bites, as you'd expect. And the first one is on a tourney they're putting on, the Sega Genesis Video Game College Tournament. And that's a very clever, fun name packed with originality. But I love shit like this. So I started hunting around on the interwebs trying to find evidence of this actually occurring. I found nothing.
I was about to say, I bet you found nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. So yeah, I posted this on the Sega and the Genesis subreddits, hoping for some participant hits or something. Didn't get any though, unfortunately. Kind of reads like just trying to bite off the Nintendo World Championships, but with college kids instead of kids. And actually, that got me Googling too, and it very little turned up on it too, but Nintendo had a Campus Challenge tournament also. So even that aspect of it is not necessarily original. They were still biting off Nintendo with that too. But I always assumed Sega was, like we talked about earlier, their core demo is skewing older anyways. So college makes a lot of sense as far.
But it's so generic. I reread this twice because I was like, which college did they say? Like, where are they doing?
60 campuses nationwide, they say. So I don't know if it actually happened or not, but Moonwalker and Joe Montana Football were the 2 games mentioned for the competition. I don't know if there were more than that, but those are the 2 that are cited here. And the way the prize breakdown shit worked, they had top 4 winners on each campus get $250 for first place, $100 for second, $50 for 2/3, and then each got a free Sega Genesis. So that was the actual purpose of this, was just to get Sega's into college campuses. So smart. And you could also win teas and Burger King coupons, as well as a chance at a 91 Jeep Wrangler. And then so out of those 60 campus tournaments, they picked 30 top winners to get all expense paid trips to Hawaii, which is pretty cool, for a national competition. And the top prize at the national competition was an Eagle Talon TSI all-wheel drive vehicle. I had no idea what that was. So I looked up pictures, and it looks like my buddy AGB from high schools. He had an early 90s blue Ford Probe. That's what it looks like to me, a fucking Ford Probe. So all-wheel drive for it. I don't know why you need all-wheel drive for a shitty little coupe like that, but Whatever.
Either way, man, if I had been walking through the Oval and had seen a freaking Genesis booth, like, come and test, like...
In. Kicking the door down.
Up.
Yeah, kicking the door down. In. Yeah, for sure. And then the cash prizes from that national competition were $2,500 for first, $1,500 for second, and then there were 2 fourth places that each got $1,000. So pretty nice little purses for a college kid, no question, in 1990.
Yeah.
If it all happened. I don't know if it did or not. They are pounding their chests about the Nintendo ad campaign, and here as well, they close the blurb out with, the ads show what savvy Sega gamers have known all along, that Genesis, with Sega's arcade supremacy behind it, beats the pants off Nintendo's 8-bit system every time. That's a hardcore fucking piece of comedy.
They're making sure you know that, like, messaging. You got that 100%.
And next we get a 2-banger spread for Razorsoft's Technocop that we talked about earlier, and there's a lot going on here with this ad, as you would expect there would be. The dude in the game is here. His back is to a dingy brick wall, and a huge gun is drawn. And he has feathered blonde hair, a perfect 5 o'clock shadow beneath impressively reflective and massive lensed sunglasses. And the gun is described here as a 95 automag designed for internal explosion of human targets. So they try to explain that ridiculous death animation in the game with that.
Right.
That's fucking hardcore. The 95 automag. My dad had a 357 Magnum, and that's like supposedly the most fucking high octane gun you can get. Magnum wise is not in real life, so 95 sounds like a really intense RoboCop gun, maybe. There's a not suggested for children under 12 warning in the corner, and the free poster order form strip on the top right has an age field on it, because no kids are going to lie about that to get this free poster with $3 postage and handling they stole from mom's purse, right? So, yeah, they're trying to distance themselves from the kids that this game should not be in the hands of, but it's obviously
they're trying to de-liability themselves. Like, look, right. We put it on the age, we put it here. Come on,
yeah. Can't have litigation cut into my Coke money. We got to make sure we be cool about this. Then this issue's Niles Nemo comic comes. Backstage in Sega Land is the title name, and Niles is off the deep end on some column shit in this installment. He's just wandering the sidewalk in town in a weed daze, thinking about his bejeweled combos. And when he gets back to the pad, he falls asleep eating pineapple pizza and playing columns, then dreams about a Sega Land backstage, where he gets to visit the inner workings behind the scenes of a columns game. There's fucking kind of Greek mythology themed dudes walking around setting up the columns to fall down into this pit, so yeah, they try to give it as if there's the wizard behind the curtain of your Sega Genesis games, so okay, sure.
Yeah. It's cool enough.
Yeah. After these messages,
we'll be right back.
Who does the world's most fun cartoon character in a hot new 16-bit game? Who does Disney animation as only a 16-bit video game can? Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. Who gives you $30 cash back when you buy a new Sega Genesis system? Genesis does. Buy a Sega Genesis system now and get $30 cash back.
Is Mickey Mouse the world's most fun cartoon character in 1990, Jay? Nah.
That argument can be made.
Nah. $30 cash back ain't nothing to shake a stick at, though. I can probably grab a lightly jammed copy of Columns at Video Game Exchange for that amount, so that's a nice little opportunity. I want one of those black leather Sega Jacket logo deals,
right?
Too.
I'll take that.
Yeah, let's do two really cool dudes bumping shoulders with those matching jackets on there in that up here in that commercial. Pretty fun. So the next 6 pages are a poorly veiled attempt to refute the blatant fact that the Master System is dead, and they start that off with a full pager on aerial assault. And this is side-scrolling shmup. That's just fine. Maybe an elite by SMS standards, but nothing anyone wanted to play in late 1990. I think we even talked about it before. And the SMS iteration of Columns is on deck after that, and it's still bejeweled. This version is playable, but holy shit is it stripped down version relative to the Genesis one. Yeah, it's obviously no shit, Sherlock. Fucking, but it goes without saying, but doesn't make it fun or good looking. I suppose if you're stuck with an SMS still, then sure, but
Yeah.
The last SMS new release feature is the tech demo of why you should upgrade to a Genesis, eSWAT, and then, yeah, it's just NES Black Box Kung Fu, but with a gun. You might recall that from the last GamePro ep. And then they look back to Alex Kidd and Shinobi World with a strategy feature on it. And this is probably the best of the Alex Kidd games, I think we decided, but that is not saying much. And they wind this part of our lives down with a two-banger titled New Hot Titles for Your Sega Master System that they doubled down on with a background full of blazing fire. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it has your standard white Sega background that you're like kind of know and love, but at the same time, man, like if that's all you got, like I get it. But
I suppose. They have 15 released SMS titles pictured. They list another 8, then tease 4 more licensed ones they think are fire coming down the pipe. Joe Montana, Pat Riley, Buster Douglas, Michael Jackson. So they have all those Genesis games coming on the SMS as well. Then there's release titles we have not seen. There's Super Monaco GP, which wasn't anything special in the Genesis, so this isn't going to be fun, and I didn't even fucking bother with it. And then Dead Angle, which is an 89 release of a first-person action shooter with mafia theming. And I think we've seen it before, but I turned it on, and it didn't look familiar to me, so I fucked with it a little. It actually performs pretty well for a game you're controlling with a crosshair on a D-pad, but it's probably... it's barely a video game. It's like calling it a video game is a little bit of a stretch. Like it might make a decent mobile game intended for 25 seconds of play at a time, like while you're waiting in line for something. But the idea of sitting down to play this in front of a TV as a video game is fucking crazy. Like you're just killing a certain number of they give you a number of dudes that are tumbling out of windows and running in from off screen, and they all look absolutely identical. And there's a pretty fun death screen. The copy reads, "Don't stand in front of the enemy," which is good advice when the enemy is shooting guns at you, I suppose, but a little bit goofy. But that's probably the funnest thing about it is after you die, and that's not really a good sign. Did you try any of those?
No.
Do you try SMS games when you see them anymore? Sure.
I do, but like not when I see something that I've already played on the Genesis, like an eSWAT or something. I'm not going down at this point. It's like, nah.
Fair. A full pager for the Sega Game Wizards, their hint line that has that crazy red cutout of the phone number that they tell you to tear off and hang near your red phone. Hang near your phone. And should we call this number right now, Jay?
Dude, I think we might have to.
I think we should call this number right now. What game are we calling for tips on? eSWAT. We're calling for tips on eSWAT. 415-871. GAME.
What area code is that? 415.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Google Fi subscriber you have called is not available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hi, I'm trying to reach the Sega Game Wizards. Me and my buddy, Gentleman JB, are sitting here jamming on a copy of eSWAT on the SMS. And it's a tough game to get into, but we're trying our best, and we're curious whether you had any hints for the level 2 boss. We're just ramming our head against the wall here. So when you get in, if you could give us a call back, my number is 614-291-3028. And if you call within the next 30 minutes, we could even get you on our podcast here. So look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Okay, bye.
Nice.
Okay. A full pager for that cool puzzler where we discussed earlier. Junction brings us to a huge deal of a two-banger from Ictana Arts for Lakers versus Celtics and the NBA playoffs. And this is I don't know. I did not expect to see this. This ad surprised me. I did not expect to see this here. I didn't think these were coming out quite yet. So it isn't out till 91, but how fucking big of a deal is this? This is the first NBA licensed with both teams and players, and the first console game to accomplish either of those things, basically. So,
I was shocked in every way, man.
Yeah,
Shocked.
and I think that might be applicable to any major U.S. sport. I don't think any home versions have done fully licensed for both those, for the league and the players in any sport yet. So this was like
Jordan's in it. I was like,
right, yeah, they pictured Jordan. Yeah, it's fucking absolutely nuts. I thought the copy's good enough here. Do you want to read it, actually?
the only game in this league. So what'll it be? Shooting hoops with a bunch of nobodies? Or playing with the baddest of the NBA's big boys? Get real. It's Lakers versus Celtics in the NBA playoffs every time. The only Sega Genesis game with real NBA teams. 1990s 8 playoff contenders plus the East and West All-Stars. The only one with real players. Jordan, Chambers, Robinson, Isaiah, the Mailman, Ewing, and 114 other household names for unbeatable 5-on-5 action. The only one with real signature moves, too. The slams, jams, and three-pointers that made the Stars famous. Even real stats from the 1990 season. And a halftime sports show. In other words, action as big and as intense as basketball itself. Big sound, intense graphics, killer animation for 1 or 2 players. You think you could find this level of play anywhere else? Come on, get real.
Which of those things does not belong there? I didn't even clock it when I was looking at the mag. The idea that they're naming Tom Chambers in there. I mean, he was a good center for the Suns, sure. But
Dude, they said Chambers, and I immediately was like,
who the fuck
Chambers?
is that?
Who?
Yeah, Tom
which
fucking
Chambers?
Chambers. Yeah, no, yeah, he does not belong. They put him right after Jordan, which is crazy.
Right? And why is Isaiah like? Why is it Isaiah? Why is it his first name? Like they switch it back and forth, Isaiah, and then the.
But that's because, and that's he was. I mean, that's what they are. They're showing. You know, it's not like that's who they're known as. You know, like they mentioned Clyde the Glide, and then on that, the next page has some screenshots, and there's 4 player blurbs here. I guess I'll read those too because they're kind of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Pretty fucking fun. So we have Jordan's Air Show. Find out what life's like above the rim. Bird in Flight. Nothing but net. Barkley's Gorilla Dunk. Charles is a real animal. And then Clyde's Glide. Wham Bam, a Tomahawk Jam. And yeah, I actually forgot. Even reading those, I did not think about it, but I forgot that they had like fucking finishing moves, you know, like
right.
each player had like the big stars had like special dunks they could do and shit. And that is fucking awesome, man. That is so fucking cool.
Dude, this tells me that my ROM was messed up, or I just need to like try to play this again because I was playing it and I couldn't move. I could only move diagonally, and it was weird. So I was like, this can't be how the game is intended. Like it's got to be broken. But I was still able to like pass the ball enough and like do signature dunks. So I was like, this is fun. If I can like get this controls to work like correctly, like this is freaking impressive right now.
Oh, if you look at it from that era perspective, like I said, these games were fucking off the wall. But if you
give me this over and over again,
yeah, but they're slow. They're pretty slow in plotting now. They're not. They don't.
Oh well, yeah.
They don't. Yeah, they don't feel good by any length anymore. Unfortunately, see, I got Bulls versus Blazers was the one I had. And yeah, they're all the same kind of deal, just the playoff teams. They didn't have the whole league. I don't think even – I think they might have got – yeah, they had Lakers versus Celtics, Bulls versus Lakers, and then Bulls versus Blazers. I don't know if they ever got to Bulls versus Suns or not. I don't think so. But
if they did, I didn't play it.
Yeah, so yeah, fucking – yeah, wild. It's fucking wild. I mean, and like it's like impossible to – even understand now these days, but this whole era, Jordan wasn't exactly. You said it. You're like Jordan's in this game. Like that's because that's the thing. Like Jordan wasn't in games. He was like his own special deal with this far. Like he somehow got himself partitioned out of the players' fucking union or however the licensing process was for the players on the whole. Like he somehow got out of it because he was such a fucking big deal and. Yeah, I mean, he was just That's the funny thing about Jordan to think about. Like I don't know if you remember it or not, but when he came back from baseball, his whole contract thing, doing the year-to-year deals he was doing with the Bulls that were like $30 million, or it was like an insane number or something, and like the fact that he was able to do it for just a 1-year deal and he had that much power was like, I remember, like I can picture the newspaper fucking article with that on the cover in Oberlin, Ohio. This is like the Oberlin newspaper with that on the cover. You know what I mean? Like fucking just wild how big of a thing he was and how much sway he had when he came back from baseball. That was wild. Yeah, but fucking just really, really fucking cool game. And yeah, it had everything we were dreaming about for a basketball game of this era. Everything. The players, the style of play, like substituting and fucking, it was just the stats, like, oh, so good, man. So good. Okay. And I was actually wondering too because these weren't on the SNES, these were Genesis exclusives only. So I was wondering whether you had fucked with them or not, and they meant anything to you. So that's cool to hear that they did.
Yeah, definitely. It's again, like I definitely didn't play it. I played it over somebody's house or something enough to be like, oh wow, yeah, that was freaking good. You know.
Yep. Coming attractions tells us of games that have already came next. So, Sword of Vermilion and Buster Douglas Boxing on Genesis, Paperboy on SMS. So there's nothing new there, even though they're telling us about it as something coming down the pipe. On the inside cover, we have a DreamWorks full pager for a couple of games. One we've seen, Target Earth, and one we haven't, Fire Shark. The latter dropped in March, so it is fair game, and is a port of a vertically scrolling flying shooter with World War II biplane air combat theming, with a twist. It's like futuristic weaponry of all kinds, and I guess the pilots are supposed to be ghosts, which is interesting, I guess. And the planes are actually, I don't, like especially World War II era shooters, like I don't really give a fuck about that. But the planes with the shark shit painted on the front of them, which is what they have in the ad here, is kind of on the cooler side of fighter planes from World War. That is kind of cool. I remember having some weird little thing that I didn't even think to write down. It's just coming to me now as I say this out loud. But I remember having do you remember those little styrofoam planes that you could get? They came in like a little wrapper, like a flat wrapper.
100%. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And and you like took them out. And I think they might have had, did they have rubber band propellers or something? I think they could. You
could like rubber band to like launch them.
Yep.
Ones. Other ones you just have to throw.
Yep. And I remember having one that had one of those little shark things.
Shark designs.
Yeah. Sure. So that's a cool little memory to have on top of. Like I said, I already kind of have an affinity for that. But Fire. I mean, it's also pretty good. Pretty good. Like two things in a genre I don't usually like. The play area is wider than the one screen, so you can pan your view as you move to the screen's edge, which is good. I don't like being stuck to like an invisible boundary. It's kind of a shitty way to play a flying shmup, I think. So that's cool. And then you can hold the fire button to fire your base weapon repeatedly. But if you're willing to do the work of rapidly pressing the button, your fire rate is higher. So like it gives you both options with a base controller, which is kind of cool. But still, like it's kind of like we talked about with the Philios, like a little bit of a decision to be made in how you want to attack, which is good. So yeah, all the shmup shit was good in my view. Power-ups, controls, graphics, music, etc. So in like an unexpected pool of heat that's in this genre. Not the best we've seen, but if we hadn't had so much of that in this issue, this probably would get a little more of my love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
same.
Not at all bad. The back cover is reminding the reader you only get one more issue for free, so you better sign the fuck up for a subscription if you don't want to miss out on all this propaganda. They mentioned you'll get a free videotape of reviews, previews, tips, and a behind-the-scenes look at how games are made. I tried to find this, but came up empty. But I did find a 524 video playlist on YouTube titled Video Game VHS Tapes and Laserdiscs. That it's all industrials and promos from the era, dude. So they're incredible, bro. They are like employee training videos. Like the first one I was watching was... It's titled Babbage's Nintendo Merchandising Setup 1997 Training Video and explains to Babbage's employees how to set up an N64 display. And there's like GoldenEye music playing in the background the whole time. And it's got just this like balding dude trying to set up these fucking stupid ass display things in a Babbage's store. With just that alone, a Babbage's store alone. I don't know if you had those in your malls, but holy fuck. Babbage's. And what was the other one? Fuck, I'm fucking drawing a blank on it. That were at the mall. Fuck. But they were those stores that were, the in-mall deals. Yeah, they didn't have standalone brick and mortar stores. They were all in-mall. Whatever.
So
location,
like pre-electronic boutique type of thing.
Electronic boutique. That's the one I was trying to think of. Yes,
Okay.
Same thing as electronic.
That's my jam. That's my jam.
Exact same thing as EB. Yes, that was the other one I was trying to think of. Yes, exactly like that. So yeah, it's all just a ton of those. And they're not all employee training videos. Some of them are like the videos that they might have mailed out to people to fucking promo.
Man, that was the place to be. I had to go in every one of. We went to a mall. I was like, I got to go there. Mom and Dad, I'll be over here.
Yep. I'm at least gonna stop in for sure. Yeah, those and then like the CD stores. I remember.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I remember it was like the Camelots and stuff, and there was another one. I remember this is a random ass memory, but there was one that got towards the tail end of me being at an age that gave a fuck about going to the mall just because it was a way to get away from your parents that kids could go do. But you didn't have any money, so you couldn't. It's weird. It's weird that kids like to do that.
You wanted to go look, but you
couldn't.
Yeah.
The mall requires the whole purpose of the mall is to spend money, but you don't have any money. So you go to the mall and you try to find things to do at the mall that don't cost any money. Which is a
or
weird.
Or it costs minimal money for those fun.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So a weird dynamic with kids wanting to go to the mall, but these CD stores got like you got a card. I got an actual, so that was something to put in my wallet too. Very cool. I'm a card for my wallet. I'm in.
You got a membership.
Yeah, exactly. I belong to something. I'm into that. And yeah, so it was a machine. You had the card, and you could go in and like I don't even know. I can't remember the exact function, but like it had all the fucking modern CDs that were coming out and shit. And I don't know if it was like you make playlists or like. I don't know, you probably signed up for fucking something in the mail too because I'm sure it was just like a way to get you on a marketing list of some kind, But like, yeah, you could go in and like you could fuck with the computer for a while and like it would print stuff up and put it on your card and like you got points for something that you could I'm sure use for discounts or some shit, who knows. But like I just remember going to those stores and fucking with those endlessly because it was something to engage in and I'm always looking for a mainframe even at that age. So yeah, nice. Pretty fucking fun memory that sparked for me. But yeah, so it's a 524 videos like that on a playlist. So if you want to just get some weed gummies and sit down and burn a weekend, I think that's probably a great way to do it if you're into weed gummies.
Stage 1 theme from Whip Rush, bringing us into the nominations once again.
I believe you're first up. I think
I'm first up.
Yeah,
all right.
Last time.
All right. First up nomination, Felios. I've talked a lot about it. It's a lot of character, beautiful graphics, sound, everything. Like, I'm into it. Second, I have nominated this game twice already, just for funsies because it's out here. Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. Third, DJ Boy. Let's get on some roller skates and kick some ass, brother. Let's go. Oh yeah.
I was kind of torn on it because DJ or I want to like I stopped myself there because like that can't be the name of it,
right? DJ, right?
Yeah, it's DJ Boy. I thought about putting that on my list, but I did not.
But also, I need to call an audible and add a fourth. Because somehow I missed that it was like new, and in my mind I was like, "Wait a minute, Mickey Mouse." So
okay. Fair,
honorable mention.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I also could not get down to 3, or I did not have. I mean, I can do whatever I want with my own Google Docs here or my own fucking Word docs, but I didn't. For some reason, chose to have 5, so I have 5 on this one, and so I have.
That makes sense though.
Yeah, I have repeats here with yours. Filios is on here, and then Castle of Illusion, yes, for Mickey.
Nice.
I also have Whip Rush, Junction, and Fire Shark. So.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. DJ Boy is interesting to me though. Hearing like changing the functionality of being able to jump and like me missing that part of it makes me want to say that like I didn't give it enough of a shake and maybe I should.
Dude, yeah, I'm not lying to you. Like I definitely jumped.
How far did you get into it? And this is not questioning the ability to jump. How far did you get into it? Like how strong are you about playing it?
No, I died on the boss, and so that is the one thing that was frustrating, was that it didn't feel like there were multiple continues. Like I had a game over and start from the beginning.
Well, we talked about this before. If Sega's fucking weird about it, you probably gotta like hit on controller 2. You probably have to hit some dumb sequence of buttons or something like fucking. Right. They're weird about continues for some reason. So, and we're gonna be save scumming anyway. So
yeah, man. C button is definitely jump. I just jumped again.
Okay. I don't know why the fuck I didn't work that. I don't have an explanation for that. Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah, so it could be good or it could be like I don't know, but I was having fun until I died.
So you didn't beat the first boss. I think I also died in the first boss. I'm scared. It's like so. It's so like I'm curious as fuck, but I'm scared that there's not enough, that it's gonna be janky. I'm really scared of that.
It's definitely a risk.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of these could be a risk, but at least with like a shooter, you kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and like Castle Illusion is kind of a no-brainer, but that's also one we're going to see again for sure, And we just did Strider, and Castle Illusion is that's like a prestige title,
Platformer.
It's also a platformer, but also a prestige title. Like we know that's a golden fucking ticket to a game episode. So I kind of feel like maybe we should dumpster dive a little bit more here and take a chance. And Philios is an overlap, and I had a good time with that. If you were to have to choose between Whip Rush and Fire Shark was the one with the different directions, and Whip Rush was the one with...
Yeah. Whip Rush, I didn't like that the pod was small. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember all of the different weaponry and whatnot about that.
That's why we're saying that it was good, but it was not. There was nothing memorable about it. It hit all the notes and was fun while you're playing it. But yeah, I also can't tell you anything specific from it. Whereas Philios, I can tell you a ton of specific stuff because it looks so distinct. And Fire Shark, same thing with that firing mechanic. It's so different that you of course remember that. So
yeah, there's definitely different things with Fire Shark. Where I was kind of like, okay, what is this going to be? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm having fun. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Philios out of the shooters probably has the most character. And with Junction, I don't want to push that too hard. That's a fucking puzzler.
What do you think?
I would do Philios.
Let it be said.
Okay. Philios it is. Okay, fair. We will play a fucking flying shmup. Ugh.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Okay. Fucking Genesis taking me into all sort of uncharted territory and uncharted waters for me for fucking games.
It's good for you.
It is good for me. Growth is good. Growth is good. Emotionally, psychologically, gamingly, it's all good.
Growth mindset here.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's what we encourage.
Just like Sean McDermott, growth mindset. Hopefully, I grow better than he does. Keep losing in the playoffs, doing the same thing. Okay, fucking A. Let's play Philios next, and then after that, we are going to be getting into the October 1990 Game Pro issue 15. And you can subscribe to the pod on the platform provided, whatever dumbass company that serves up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you do listen to if you enjoy our nonsense. The website is nyehentertainment.com/ISOHpod. You can email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page, the Instagram, the subreddit. Talk shit to us about our gameplay videos on the YouTube. The links to all those will be in the show notes. We don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to the things podcasters tell you to and would like to do so in our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities, and that is cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. T-shirts are on the website. They're dope, and proceeds on those after pod expenses go to Able Gamers. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That's where you can find me. Let me know it's you. Come and let's play some Age together.
My Instagram is @myshiftKeyIsBroke. My Twitter is @JoshFolan. And you can find me on Oculus at @myshiftKeyIsBroke also. Okay, bye.
Bye.